In this tutorial video, we are going to be learning how to build an image sharing social media application similar to platforms like Unsplash, Pixels, where users will log in into their account and publicly share their images and allow anyone to use the images for free. Now for the prerequisite for this tutorial, you'll be requiring a Supabase account as well as a cloudinary account. We'll be requiring both of them inside our Flutter application, and you'll be learning step by step how we build this application. This is what we are going to be building in this tutorial. This is how our image sharing application is going to work. It is going to be listing all the images available within our database to any users, and for this they don't require any authentication or sign up. Such kind of logic is written here. Only the user wants to upload and share images with others publicly. In that case, they are required for login. Any user can view the image, like the image, and if they want, they can also download and save the image inside their local phone storage. And if they are searching for something, they can also use the search option and search for the specific image and load the specific image by either name, description, or tags. And for upload cases, here the publishers can control their uploads. They can either edit their description, tags, and if they want, they can also delete the image completely. And specifically, we are not going to be calling Cloudinary on our client side, it's going to be on the server side. And for this, we are going to be using the Supabase edge functions. Now first, let us first discuss about the workflow of our application. As you all know that the user who is using our application are going to be connected directly to our Supabase service, and Supabase here is going to be acting as backend as a service. In our application, we are going to be using several features of Supabase like user authentication, Supabase database, as well as Supabase edge functions. We'll learn all of them in this tutorial. How our homepage is going to work. Our user will send a request to our Supabase backend, and from there, Supabase will fetch the latest images data depending upon the search query or normal get request. It is going to be providing the data from the backend to the user. For our image uploading case, the user is going to be sending request to our Supabase service, and from there, we are going to be calling the Supabase edge function nearest to the user, and the user should be authenticated to call the Supabase function, and from there user is going to be passing the image and will be calling the Cloudinary API to upload the image using the edge function. And after we get the response from Cloudinary, we are going to be storing that data inside our database, that is the Supabase Postgres database. In this way, we are going to be working for our application. Let's start building it step by step. Let us start by creating a new Flutter project. For this, open your terminal in your system and then navigate to the folder where you want to create your Flutter app, and then use Flutter create. It will be image sharing Flutter app. Now, after your app has been created, open your code editor. For this case, I'm choosing Visual Studio Code. Here you need to just drag and drop your application that it got recently created. And now here open main.dart. From devices, let's choose iOS Stimulator. After your iOS Stimulator or Android emulator is launched, you need to simply click on Run and run and debug the Flutter application. Now our app is working correctly. That means that we have Flutter and other things installed in our system correctly. Now for our application, we'll be requiring some external packages. Open the terminal window inside Visual Studio Code and type flutter.add And then we need to type the name of the external packages that we want to add inside our Flutter application. First, we'll be adding Supabase Flutter for connecting our application with Supabase as for our backend as well as our database. Then provider for our state management, then image picker for picking images from our devices, Flutter staggered view and streamer both for our UI, permission handler for providing permissions inside our application, and cached network image for storing the network in cached format in our devices. Let's hit enter. If we'll be requiring any more packages, we'll be adding like this only. Now all our packages are now added inside our pubspec.yaml file. Just verify all these packages. Now we need to first connect our application with Supabase. For our database and authentication, we'll be requiring Supabase. So for creating a new account in Supabase, it's really very simple. Just open your browser and search for supabase.com, and from here you can either sign into your existing account or create a new account by clicking here start your project. Here you can either continue with GitHub or create a new account by using your email password and sign up. Now you need to confirm your email. Now here we need to create an organization. For here we can name anything. And now here we need to give the name of our project. For this, it will be image sharing app. And here we can generate a password. Make sure to copy this password somewhere. Now you need to choose the nearest region where you want to deploy and make sure to enable data API and create a new project. Now our database is ready. Since we have already created our Supabase database, now connecting is very easy. It's, now we need to open our main.dart file. First, we need to make this void main function as future return type of void, and it will be an async function. And we need to call widget flitter binding dot ensure initialize to initialize all the widgets before we are calling the runf function, and then we can call the Supabase widget imported from Supabase Flutter package. So here we can call Supabase dot initialize, and in this initialize function, we need to pass our URL and key. So the URL will be this URL. We can just copy it like this and paste it here. Next, we'll be requiring to pass our AND key, and this is our mainly our publishing key. You can just copy it from here and like this. Now, by doing this, we are just simply initializing Supabase with our Flutter application. Just stop this application and rerun it again. Now, if we are having any problem, it will be logging that, and we can view that inside our debug console. Now, as you can see here, it's showing Supabase init completed. It means that we are successfully able to connect Supabase with our Flutter application. Now we can start to write the UI logic for our application. For this, first you will be creating a new folder, name it as constants. You will create a new file as colors.dart. Here we are going to be writing all our application color theme that we are going to be using inside this application. We need to import Flutter material dart first and then create a class app colors. First here we are specifying our primary color, background, card, text and accent color. Only these 5 colors we are going to be using inside our application. First, inside the left folder, we'll create one more folder. This will be our pages folder. You will create another new file. It will be home.dart. Here we'll be having a stateful widget. Name of the widget will be home page. And now inside our main.dart, we'll remove this unnecessary code, and in title we'll be having the title as image sharing app, and we can remove this debug banner simply using this debug check banner setting to false like this, and we can remove this example my homepage widget, and in our home property we can have the homepage widget that we recently created like this. And now we can work on with the theme and the ABBA theme property. In theme property, we'll pass theme data, primary colors to app colors.primary, scaffold background color to app colors.background. Color scheme will be color scheme from swatch.copy with, passing the primary as our app colors primary and secondary as app colors.accent. All these colors, we have already declared them inside colors.dart file. Next in ABBA theme will be having ABBA theme passing background color as app colors.primary and foreground color as colors.white and elevation as 0. Now you will find nothing changed in our application because we have not yet edited our homepage UI. Let's do it. In our homepage, we are mainly going to be listing all the images in the homepage, and we don't want to have login and sign up page at first because we want that login and sign up should be an optional function. Only user, if they are willing to log in or sign up, only in that case they will be required login or sign up. So for this, first we'll be removing this placeholder. Instead, we'll be having a scaffold. Next, we'll be using the ABBA property. You will be having an ABBA. ABBA will be having background color as app colors.primary, elevation 0, center title false. Title for now we are setting it as shade free, and then style textile we are setting the colors as colors.white, and font weight on bold, and font size 24. When we save this, it looks something like this. Now again, inside our app bar, inside the actions, we'll be having a circle avatar, and here we'll be using the child property. Here we'll be having an icon for icons.person. For colors, it will be colors.gray. And here inside circle avatar, we can also use the background color as colors.gray.shade 200. Now it's okay. So here we can also add some padding. Now what we want when the user clicks here, he should get the profile options like my uploads, logout, and so on and on. For this, we'll be wrapping with pop-up menu button here inside our circle avatar. We're going to wrap this with another widget. It will be pop-up menu button, and here we need to provide the item builder. In item builder, here we need to pass the context, and here it accepts us to pass a list of pop-up menu entry. So here we are going to be passing that. First we'll set a pop-up menu entry value profile. Text will be profile. Pop-up menu entry my uploads. Text will be my uploads. Pop-up menu entry value will be my underscore uploads, and text will be my uploads. And pop-up menu entry logout, text will be logout. So what's going to happen here, when we click on this profile icon, it's going to show us this pop-up menu items. Now if we want, we can also set a specific padding, like we can only set only right 16. Now this looks more better. Now we have done with the app bar part. Let's work on the body part. Here we'll be also having a plus icon to upload image. For that, we'll be using the floating action button property of the scaffold, and here we'll be passing floating action button on press. For now, here we'll be having a void function, and child will be having icon for icons dot add like this. We need to also have some decoration. For this, we can set the background color as app colors dot primary like this, and it's quite okay. Now here we need to work on the scaffold body part. Now our app bar part is done, as well as the floating action button part is done. Now let's start with the body part. For UI, we are going to be using staggered grid view, and we have also imported that package, Flutter staggered grid view. Now we are going to be using that. Here we'll be using Manciniary gridview.count. Here we are going to be passing the count, cross-axis count. For cross-axis count, we'll be using media query of context.size. If width is greater than 600, then we are going to be counting it for 3, else we'll be counting it for 2. That means that if screen size is bigger than 600, then we are going to be showing 3 count here. Else in regular device, we are going to be showing 2 counts. Here in item builder, we'll be passing context and index. For now, we'll be only having a container of colors.gray. And here, we need to also pass the item count. For now, I'm just setting the item count as 10. Here, we need to also pass some height, otherwise it will not be visible. Let's pass 250 as height. And now you can see the screen got gray in body. Here, we need to use the cross-axis spacing, setting it as 8, main axis spacing setting as 8. Now you can see the gaps. And if we want, we can also add a padding of edging sets 8. Now it's okay. Now it's looking quite good. And we are done with the body part of our app UI. Now let us work on the logical part for Supabase and our state management part for provider. Now, for using Supabase, first we need to write the schema or the data definition language for our Postgres database. For that, here we'll be creating one more file. This will be our schema.sql. Here we are going to be writing all the data definition logic for our app database. Mainly here we are going to be having two tables. First one will be our profile table, where we are going to be storing all the profile data of the users, and then will be our images upload table, where we are going to be storing all the data of image uploads linked to specific user, and we'll be setting some row level security policies for our tables. Let's do that. So here first we'll be starting by creating a public profiles table. You will be using create table if not exist public dot profiles. You will be having the ID as UUID that will reference from users ID, since we are going to be using Supabase authentication, and from there we are going to be getting the ID. So we are going to be referencing that, and on delete cascade not null setting as primary key. So this means that when we delete this data, it will cascade and this value is compulsory. It cannot be null. Next, we are setting updated at. It will be timestamp with time zone. Next username, it will be text, and as unique, full name will be text, avatar URL will also be text, and website, if they want to add website, then it will be also text. And in constraint, we'll set the username length. So we'll check if char underscore length for username is greater than 3. So here it is going to be unique, and here we also have a constraint that it should be greater than 3. Now, only creating this table is not going to work. We need to also have row level security. For that, we are going to be implementing row level security. Here, first we'll use alter table public.profiles and enable row level security. Here we are going to be creating a policy. Public profiles are viewed by anyone. So here on public profiles for select, we are using it as true so that anyone can view all the public profiles. Next, here we are going to be creating a policy. Users can insert their own profile. This comment you can have anything. It's not compulsory, but only the main access is important. So here we will set on public.profiles for insert with the check. We need to check if auth.uid is equal to the ID of the specific user. So this means that first we are going to be checking the auth.uid is equal to current UID. Only the authenticated users from Supabase authentication are going to be inserting into the profiles table. Next, similar to this, we'll be also having users can update their own profile on public profiles. For update, using auth.uid is equal to the ID. This is also similar. Only authenticated user of that specific user ID can only update their own profile. Next, we'll be creating a trigger function so that when a user sign up, we can call that trigger function directly from our Supabase. So here we are going to be creating a trigger function to create a profile on sign up. Here we'll be calling create or replace function for public handle new user. This is the name of the function, public underscore new user. So here we'll be returning it as trigger, and in trigger we need to have a begin and end statement, and here we are going to be writing our function logic. So insert into public users, user ID, full name, avatar URL with values that we get from new.id, new.raw user metadata to full name and new raw user metadata from avatar URL. You might be thinking why we are getting this new raw ID, new use raw user metadata. All these are coming from Supabase auth. We are simply using that data and submitting it inside our profiles table. So that means that when user is going to be filling the auth page for Supabase auth, their data is going to get automatically populated inside our public profiles database. And after we have inserted the values, we'll just return it as new, and we'll need to call this at the end. And now our first trigger function is created, but this trigger function will not get called automatically. So for that, we need to have another trigger function. So here we are going to be creating create or replace trigger. It will be on auth user created. So this function will get called by Supabase. Here we'll just check after insert on order user. For each row execute procedure, we need to call public handle new user. This function that we have written. So here Supabase is going to be calling this function on what user created, and after this gets created, it will call our handle new user trigger function that we have written, and it will populate the specific data to our profiles table automatically. Let's also work with another table. Now here we are going to be having one more table. This will be our images table. So similar to our profiles table, it will be similar. Create table if not exists. Public.images ID will be UUID. Default will be generate random UUID, and it will be a primary key, and we'll be having image URL that will be text, and it is going to be not null. Here we need to store the cloudinary public ID text not null description. If the user passes any description, we are going to be storing that. Tags, we'll be having tags in every specific images, so we'll be also storing that. And next here we'll be having a likes option. It will be integer, default will be 0, and downloads default will be 0. Owner ID will be the UUID. References from our public profiles ID, it is always going to be not null, and created at will be timestamp with default time zone. Created at will be timestamp with time zone default, and time zone will be UTC text time dot now current time, and it is going to be not null. Here also we need to have some row level security. For that we'll be just altering the table public.images and row level security. First, since it's an image sharing application, anyone can view our images. So here we'll be creating a policy. Public images are viewable by everyone. On public images for select, we'll use using true, means allow anyone for reading all the images. Then only authenticated users can insert images. So here we'll create one more policy. It's going to be authenticated users can upload images. Here will be on public images. On public.images for insert, we'll check if auth role is equal to authenticated. This auth role property is from Supabase itself. So it returns either authenticated or non-authenticated. So we can check if it's authenticated, then the user is already signed in. And again, similar to this, we'll be also creating a policy to update your images. You will create a policy update user own images. Here on public images for update, will be using odd user ID is equal to the owner ID. This user ID is going to be populated from Supabase UID, and here the owner ID we are going to be matching it, and depending upon that we can allow the user to update their own images. Next, we are going to work on the RPC functions that will be calling using the Supabase API directly, like for incrementing download count, incrementing likes. First, here we are writing an RPC function to increment likes. So it will be create or replace function. You will be passing the image ID, that will be a UUID, and then we'll return void as, and here we'll be starting to write our function. We'll update public images, set likes equal to likes plus 1, increment by 1, where ID is equal to the image ID that we are passing, and then we need to just end the statement by writing this. And also similar to this, we'll be also having an increment download function. Here we'll create or replace function increment download. image ID, it will be an UUID. Return void as will start to write the function. Here after begin will write update public images set downloads to downloads plus one, where ID is equal to image ID and end the statement. Now we have written our SQL schema. We need to simply copy this and inside our Supabase console, open the SQL editor. We need to simply paste this and run the query. Now here it ran the function successfully. Here in table editor, you will find two tables. First one is our images table and second one is our profiles table. And all of them has row level security enabled. Like as you can see, here we have row level security for our images and profiles table. Now we need to work with the authentication part, but before working with the authentication part, since we'll be using provider as our state management, then we need to equally work with both parts, first with our Supabase and also with our provider, and then we can implement all the features side by side. So for this, first, here inside our left folder, we'll create one more folder. It will be our services folder. You will be creating a new file. It will be supabase underscore service dot dart. You will be starting by importing Supabase Flutter Dart package. Create a class Supabase service. You will create an underscore client. It will be a type of Supabase client. We'll just call Supabase dot instance dot client, and then we'll start to write our auth methods. Now here we'll first import Supabase Flutter Dart package. Now first you will be importing Supabase Flutter Dart package, create a class, Supabase service. Here will be creating an underscore client variable that will be our Supabase client. You will just call supabase.instance.client, and then in our auth methods, first one will be for sign in. You will be creating a future void sign in. You will be passing email password as input. Here we'll make the function as async, then we'll call await underscore client dot auth sign in with password. Here we need to pass our email as the email and password as the password that we are inputting to this function. Next here we'll be creating a future void sign-up function. Here we'll be requiring to pass email, password and full name. It will be an async function. You will be calling await underscore client dot auth sign up. Here we need to pass all this required properties. Here we'll be passing the email, password, and data. We'll be passing the full name as the full name that we get. And now we have written our sign in and sign up function. Now we'll be also having a future void sign out function. It will be async. We just call await underscore client dot auth dot sign out and our use. And that's all. We have written all the three authentication function, but we need to also check these sessions whether the user is currently authenticated or not. For that, here we'll be creating a stream of auth state. Name of the function will be on or state change function. You will just call underscore client dot on auth change, and for getting the current session, we'll get a return type of session. Name of the function will be current session, and we'll be returning underscore client dot auth dot current session. In this way, we have written all the auth logic for our application. Here inside our left folder, we'll create one more folder. It will be for our providers. You will create one more file. It will be app underscore provider dot dart. Let's create a class app provider extends change notifier. Inside the app provider, we'll be having a Supabase service. We'll be naming it as underscore Supabase service and importing the package. Here we'll be writing the auth logic so that we can call sign in, sign out directly from our provider. You will be creating a future void sign up. We'll be passing all the required parameters like email, password, and full name. All of this are going to be required. This function is going to be async, and then we'll wrap it using try catch. We'll be calling Supabase service.signup. This signup is the function that we have written, and we'll be passing email, password, and full name. And then, in case of any error, we'll just read through it, and this will be responsible for our login part. Next, we'll be also calling future void signout, make it async, and just call supabase service.signout and notify our listeners. And that's all. We have written this provider, but we need to link it with our app. Currently, it's not linked. Here inside my app, we need to wrap it with another widget. This will be multi-provider, and here we need to pass the providers. We'll be calling change notify provider on create. Here we'll be creating app provider that we have recently written. Now, when our run app gets called, we are calling our app provider, and this way, our app provider is accessible anywhere inside our application. Now, for once, we need to stop our app and run it again. So it's okay. We are not having any problem. Now let us start working with our login and sign up logic for our application. For this, inside pages, we'll create one more file. It will be login underscore page dot dart. It will be a stateful widget. Name it as login page. And to view what we are building, we can just set the home for now as our login page. First, we'll be removing this placeholder using scaffold. You will be having a very basic login UI. First, we'll set the background color as colors.white. In app bar, we'll be having app bar, background color colors.white, elevation to 0. And in leading, we'll be having an icon button. Icon will be for icon store arrow back, and color will be colors.black. On press, we are just going to be calling navigator.pop. So now it's like this. Currently, if we do navigator.pop, it will just exit the application. But in our case, we'll be calling this login page in before some other pages. So this is very important. Next, in our body, we'll be having container, and in container we'll be having some properties like constraints to box constraint, like constraints to box constraints, max width to 400 and padding to edge inserts on 24. Next, we'll be using the child property and calling column, and inside children's property in column, we'll start to add other widgets. First, we'll be having a text widget. Text will be welcome back and a basic text style, font size 28, font weight bold, and colors will be colors.black. Text align will be center. Next, we'll be having size box for some spacing of height 8. And again, we'll be using a text widget. It will be login to continue sharing your creativity. Again, a basic text style of font size 14 and colors to colors.gray, text align to center. So now it's looking something like this. We can do one more thing. We can just add one more widget here, make it center. Now here we'll be having the text form field. Before that, we need to define some text editing controller. For that, here we'll be having a final underscore email controller, assigning it to text editing controller. Also pass underscore password controller, assigning it to text editing controller, and boolean underscore is loading to false. We'll be using this here. So we are declaring it. Here we are going to be having a size box of height 48 for some spacing, and then we are going to be using the text field widget, passing the controller as email controller. Decoration will be input decoration, level text will be email, fill will be true, fill colors will be colors 100, colors.gray 100, and in border we'll be having outline border, border radius will be border radius dot circular 12, border size will be border size dot none, and content padding will be edge inserts all 60. So it will be something like this. Next, we'll be having one more size box for height 16, and again similar to this one, we'll be having another text field controller. This time will be our password controller, and similar decoration we'll be having. So here we'll be having input decoration, level text will be password, and the same decoration of email text form field. But in this case, you will be having one more thing. This will be obscure text. We need to set this as true so that if we type anything, it does not appear. Next, we'll be having one more size box of height 24. After the size box, we are going to be having another size box. Here we will be having the height as 50. Child will be an elevated button, and on plus for now there will be a void function. Style will be elevated button dot style form. Background color will be colors dot black, and the shape will be rounded rectangle border. Border radius will be border radius dot circular 12, and elevation will be 0. You will be having a child. If it's loading, in that case, we are going to be showing a size box of 20 and height of 20. Child will be a circular progress indicator with color stop white, and stroke will be stroke width of 2. And if it's not loading, then we'll have a text widget. Text will be loading. Style will be text style. Color will be color stop white. Font size will be 16, and font weight will be font weight on bold. So it will be something like this. Now the problem is that here it's not taking the field size. For that, what we can do inside the parent column that we have, here we can use the property of main axis alignment and cross axis alignment. In main axis alignment, we can have main axis alignment dot center and cross axis alignment dot stretch. Now on saving, this looks something like this. It's more better than earlier. Now this looks something like this. It's more better than earlier. After the login button, we'll have one more button. This will be our sign up button. So here, after this size box, and we'll write one more size box. Size box will be of height 24. And after the size box, we are going to be having a row widget. Main axis alignment will be main axis alignment dot center. In children's, we'll be having the text don't have an account. And here we'll be having a question detector. On tab for now, it will be a void function. Child will be text. Sign up and style will be text style. Font weight to font weight dot bold. Color will be colors dot black. Now our login page is done. For our sign up page, we are going to be creating one more file. It will be sign up underscore page dot dart. We will be copying our login page code and pasting in sign up. Here instead of login page, it will be sign up page. Just replace all of them. And here we'll be having one more controller. This will be our underscore full name controller. And here also in our main.dart home, for now, we'll be setting it to sign up page so that we can view what we are doing. Here it will not be welcome back, it will be create account, and we'll also change this description. It will be join our community of creators, and along with the email text field, we'll have one more text field. For this, we'll just make a copy of it, and here it will be full name, and it will be underscore full name controller. You instead of login, this will be sign up, and instead of don't have an account, it will be already have an account, and this will not be sign up, it will be login like this. Now our sign up UI is also ready. Now we need to add the functionality to both of our sign up and login UI. Let's do that. Here inside our sign up page, we'll be having a future void underscore sign up function. It will be async. Here first we'll set state is loading to true, and then we'll wrap it using try catch. First we'll call our app provider that we have recently written using context.read method. It will be a return type of app provider. Then we are going to be calling this sign up function, passing the email controller.text for email, password controller.text for password, and full name controller.text for full name. All has this dot trim function so that it can remove all the trailing spaces at the end or start. The function that we are importing dot sign up is from our app provider, and then if our widget is mounted, then we'll use navigator dot off context to pop until, and route will be route dot is first. It means that we'll just pop at the top bypassing everything, and then in catch, if it is mounted, in that case we'll just show a snack bar, sign up field, and the error in form of string, and background color will be red. And finally, if it's mounted, in that case we'll just set is loading to false. Now we have only written the underscore sign up function, but we have not linked this with any UI. So here, when the user press this sign up button, we should call this function now. Here on press, what we can have instead of this void function, we can check if it's loading, then don't do anything else. Call the underscore sign up function, this one. Now inside your Supabase account, if you're using a free account, in that case, you should open the authentication page, and here inside the sign in slash provider option, just disable the confirm mail option. In Supabase, we have a rate limit of 2 emails per hour, so it would be better if we disable this confirm email option. It will not be able to send emails to the user and they are not going to verify the account. In this way, users will not be able to sign up. So just save these changes. And for now, we are only using email provider for our authentication. let's now try to create a new account. Now let's check our users. Here as you can see, here we have one user created. That means that sign up form our application is working. Now as you can see, here we have the user that we recently created, and here it created a new user. That means that the sign up function is working correctly. Now, similar to our sign up page, we'll be also doing the same inside our login page. Here we'll be having a future void sign in. It will be async. First we'll set state, set underscore is login to true, then wrap it with try catch. Here we are going to be calling await Supabase instance.client or sign with. Then we'll check if our widget is mounted. In that case, we'll be using navigator.pop to go back to our previous widget. And in case of odd exception, we'll catch it. Then we'll just show a snack bar with the text message, and background color will be colors.red. And then in catch, if our widget is mounted, again we are going to be using scaffold messenger of context.show snack bar and show a snack bar of text unexpected error occur. Background color will be colors.red. Now we need to call this function, but before that we need to do one thing inside our main.dart file. Here let's make our home as home page. In our home page, if we click on this profile button, it opens pop-up menu items tab. Now what we are going to be doing here, if the user is not signed in, then we should redirect them to login, and from login they can go to sign up or they can go to the previous page. Else if they are logged in, then we are going to be showing this pop-up menu items. Let's work on this logic inside our home page. Here we are having our padding widget and our pop-up menu button widget that has pop-up menu items. Here we are going to be wrapping with one more widget. It will be a consumer widget, and it will be a type of app provider that we have created. Here we'll be requiring to pass the builder. Here we'll be having context, value, and child. You can just call it as provider. And here we can return a string builder. It will be a return type of auth state. This auth state is from Supabase Flutter, and our stream will be supabase.instance.client.auth on auth change. And inside our builder, we will be having context and snapshot. Here we can use our if else logic. If user is authenticated, then we can show all this pop-up menu items. Else we'll redirect the user to the login page, and from there they can either sign up or log into their existing account. Here we can get the session from snapshot.data. Question mark because it may be nullable, and dot session, and if session is not equal to null, here we can return this. It means the user is authenticated. For that reason, session is not null. So we can just copy this and use return and paste it here like this. Now what will happen, we can remove this child now. Now what's going to happen, if user have an existing session, then it's going to be showing this. Else we'll return an icon button, and on press we'll just call navigator.push as the context, use material page route, builder will be context, and page will be login page. And here icon for our icon button will be icon for icons.account circle, and some basic decoration like colors will be colors.white, size will be 28. And now let's save it. So now you're showing the pop-up menu buttons because we have sign up and there exists an existing section. So it's showing this. Let's just implement the logout feature. So here in our logout button, this one, in pop-up menu button, we need to use the property that is on selected. Here we get the value, and it will be in form of async. If our value is equal to logout, that is this one, in that case we'll call provider.signout. Now let's try to click here, log out. Now we are logged out, and now we are logged out. We don't have any active session. If we try to click here, it's taking us to the login page, as you can see, like this. Now when we click here, it takes us to the login page. Here inside our login page, we need to call the underscore sign in function. When we click on this login button, let's do it. Here we have our login button, and here we'll be checking if underscore is loading. In that case, we'll return null. else we'll call sign-in function. Now let's try to log into our existing account that we recently created. Now we are logged in and we have an active session. So for that reason, you're showing all the pop-up menu buttons. So now authentication is working inside our application. But one thing that we need to do, like to link all the other buttons, like for now, if we click here on sign up, it does not take us to the sign up page. So we need to just write a material route logic. Here we'll be using navigator.push replacement as the context and which pass the context and material page route. Here will be having the builder passing the context to our sign up page. Now, if you click on the sign up button, it takes us to the sign up page where we can create a new account. And in our sign up page, we were already able to create new account. But here, when we click on login page, it should take us back. For that, we can use navigator.push replacement, pass the context and material page route, builder, context, and it will be to our login page. Let's save it now. If we try to click here, it's taking us to the login page, and when we click here, it's taking us to the sign up page. Our authentication part is complete. We can sign up and log into our account, and in that way, sessions are created and stored within our application, and we can verify whether the user is authenticated or not. Now let's work with the uploading images part. One thing to note that for uploading images, we'll not be calling cloudinary endpoint directly from our application. Instead, we'll be using Supabase functions and we'll be invoking that Supabase function and passing our image data as well as other data, and it will upload in our cloudinary storage, and then we can get the public URL, and after we get the public URL we can just save it into our database for user upload, or in case if we are uploading users profile, in those cases we only need the public URL, we can just get that public URL. So now what we are going to be doing, now we are going to be writing the Supabase function for uploading images inside our cloudinary account. For this, here we are going to be creating one more folder. This will be for functions, and here we'll be having one more folder. It will be image loading function, and here we'll need to write TypeScript. Here we'll call index.ts like this, and here we need to write the node function. Here mainly Supabase does not support native Node.js, but it uses Deno. So we need to write our Node.js function so that it supports Deno. It's very simple. First, we'll start by importing serve from HTTPS serve v2 from cloudinary. It will be like this, npm cloudinary, and then you will be calling create client from Supabase itself. It now will be requiring this secret keys from our environment variable. These two keys will be automatically applied, but will be requiring the cloudinary cloud name, cloudinary API key, and cloudinary secret. We can get that from our cloudinary account very easily. And now here will be creating our cloudinary config. We are going to be passing our cloud name as cloud name. API key will be API key, and API secret will be this API secret. Next, here we'll be requiring CORDS header. For now, we want to allow to invoke this function from anywhere. For that, we'll be using allow. For that, we'll be using access control allow origin start means anywhere, and access control allow headers, authorization, client info, API key, and content type. And here we need to start to write the serve logic. It will be an async function. Here when we get any request, here we'll just log the request, the input method, and the request URL. Here we'll be also logging the headers for security purpose. So here we'll be creating a header variable. It will be a type of record, and here we'll be looping over each of the headers, getting value and key, and if key dot to lowercase includes key or key dot lowercase includes auth, in that case there might be some access key or authorization key. Those keys we don't need to log in, so we'll just return as redacted to hide those sensitive data. And then if those are not so sensitive data, we don't need to hide it. We can simply log that and move to our next step. Store the headers with the key, and it will be the value. Next, we'll just console log the headers use JSON stringify headers. If our request.method is option, in that case also we need to return a specific response, otherwise most web browser does not call the API response if they don't get the options method. So we'll be just logging and printing handling options request and return a new response. Here we'll just return OK and our course header that we are setting. If we get any other request method other than option, then we'll start to wrap it using try catch. First, we need to verify the user authentication. So here we'll be having auth header as constant. We'll be getting that headers from request.header.get authorization. And if auth header is missing, in that case, we'll simply return missing authorization header. And then if auth header is present, we'll be creating a Supabase client. Here we'll be calling create client. We need to pass the Supabase URL, Supabase AND key, and our authorization header in global. Then we need to get the user from the token. So from the token that our client is going to be passing through authorization, we need to get the user data. For that, you will be getting the data and the error from Supabase client.auth.getUser, and then if we have any error or no user, in that case we can just console log auth error and return a response that error will be unauthorized and details will be the error message, and we need to return in JSON stringify, and also a header will be our course header and status will be 401. Next, we'll be logging that user is authenticated, user ID is this, and user email is this. If in this case this is not present and user exists, in that case only it will proceed to this step. And then we'll start to read the body request. The body text will be inside request.text, so we'll get that and we'll just log the size of the body text characters. And now we'll wrap it with try catch again. Here we'll just parse the body text using json.parse, and in case of any error we'll just return cannot parse body. This body text is mainly going to be the payload that we are going to be passing from our client to this function, and if we have any error we'll just show invalid JSON body. After that we are going to be passing image, upload only, description and tags from our body that we are going to be sending from our client side. This image is going to be the image itself. In upload only, here we will be passing either true or false. In upload only, what we mean that we are going to be calling this function two times, one for uploading user's profile and one for uploading user shared images. In case of shared images, we need to save that data in our database, and in case of profile picture upload, we don't need to save that in database. From Supabase side, we need to just return the cloudinary public URL, and then we have our description and tags. If user want to provide description and tags, then will be then if no image provided in body, and then we'll return the response JSON stringify error no image provided, and status will be 400 and headers will be our course headers. And if we have any image, then we'll just upload it to Cloudinary. For that, we are logging in, uploading to Cloudinary, and then we need to upload our base64 image to Cloudinary. For this, you will create an upload result called Cloudinary uploader.upload, pass the image, and we need to pass the folder name. If it's only upload only, means if it's true, then we will be storing the image inside this folder, image sharing app DPs. And if it's not upload only, in that case, we'll just store the images inside image sharing app folder. And tags, if we have any tags, then we'll pass tag. And in context description, if we have any description, we'll pass that. Otherwise, we'll just pass undefined for now. And after this complete, we'll just log the result that uploading success, and here is the public ID. Then if upload only is true, then we need to only return the result without inserting in DB. So we'll just check if upload only is true. We'll just say that only returning cloudinary URL, and we'll return the response like using JSON.stringify. This is the image URL and this is the cloudinary public ID, and we'll also return the headers, our course headers, as well as the status 200. And now, if it's not upload only, we'll then initialize our Supabase client. So here we'll create a variable Supabase called create client, pass the Supabase URL and Supabase key. All this are going to be automatically applied from our Supabase function. We don't even require to add this in our environment variable. Here we'll just try to insert inside our database. Here we'll just print inserting into Supabase DB. Here we'll get data and error from Supabase dot from images. This is the name of the table, and here we are going to be calling insert, passing the image URL will be inside upload result dot secure URL. Cloudinary public ID will be upload result dot public ID. Likes for first one time when we are uploading will be 0. Also downloads will be 0. Owner ID will be the user ID, the person who is calling the serverless function, and description, the description that will get passed from our response body, the description that will be passed from the request body from the user. Also same the tags that are going to be passed by request body from the user, and then we'll just call select and dot single. Now we have written the function. It will either return the data or an error. So if we have any error, we'll just console log that Supabase insert error and we'll throw the error. Else we'll return success and data returning. We'll just return the response with cause header status 200. And if we have any error, means if we have any error in that step, it will get catched in this step. So here we'll just return the actual message. So here we'll just return a response JSON.stringify error for error message or unknown error and details error.toString, and also the status code as 400 and our headers. In this way we have written our image sharing serverless function. Now what we need to do, we need to copy this full function, and inside our Supabase, here we have the option for edge functions. Here we need to deploy a new function, choose via editor, and we can simply paste this. Let's name the function as image uploading function and deploy this function. Here we'll be requiring some environment variables. We can add those, like these are the pre-written environment variables that are already getting passed in our code. We are using Cloudinary, so we need to pass this environment variables like Cloudinary cloud name, Cloudinary API key, and Cloudinary API secret. So all this we can get it very easily from here. Just copy and paste it. And cloud name is this name. And also copy this and paste it here. Let's save bulk. And now we have written our edge function, image uploading function. Now what we are going to be doing, we are going to be invoking this function from our client side with some authentication. Now we need to do one more thing. Inside our functions setting, here we need to just disable this verify JWT with legacy secret, and recommended is off. So since we are using custom logic, so we don't need this. Just save this changes. If we don't do this change, then you might be getting error. Now we need to verify with our logs and check if everything is working correctly or not. Now we have written our Supabase edge function. Let us work on the upload part for images from our application. For this, before doing anything, we need to create a model, as we have already defined a public images table that will have UUID, image URL, public ID, description, tags, likes, download, owner ID, and created at. So all these things are going to be stored inside a model. For that, inside left folder, create one more folder. This will be for models. Here we'll create a new file. It will be image. Here inside models, we'll create a new file. It will be image underscore model.dart. And here we'll start writing our image model. Here we'll start by creating a class image model, and here first we'll have final string ID, string image URL, string cloudinary public ID, string question mark description. We are making it nullable because description is optional, and final list of string tags, final integer likes, final integer downloads, and final string owner ID, final string question mark owner display name. This display name, for this we need to join the data of the public profiles with the image tables to get the data. So we'll be also doing that. For now we are just initializing. Next, also similar for the owner avatar URL. It will be final string, question mark, owner avatar URL, final date time, created act. Now we are going to be initializing the constructor. First we'll have this require this.id, require this.image URL, require this.primary public ID. The description is optional, so it will be only this.description, require this.tags, require this.likes, require this.downloads, require this.owner ID, and also owner display name and owner avatar URL are going to be optional. So you will only have this dot owner display name and this dot owner avatar URL, and then we'll have required this dot created at. Now here we need to write the function to convert the JSON to our image model. For this we'll be using factory widget. Name of the function will be image model for map, and here we'll be getting a map of string dynamic, that's our JSON data. And then first we need to extract our profiles if profiles object exists. Like after joining the profile table, we'll get the data in form of nested JSON. So we are creating a final profile variable and mapping over the profile data and storing it inside profile. Next we'll return image model, ID will be inside map of ID, image URL will be inside image URL. These are mainly the columns name. Make sure that all these are correct because directly we can access when we get the data. Next, description will be inside map description. Tags will be inside list of string from maps of tags, or you will have empty list. Likes will be inside map of likes. If we don't have anything, we'll set it to 0. Also similar, downloads will be inside map of downloads. If we don't have anything, we'll set 0. Owner ID will be inside map of owner underscore ID, and owner display name will be inside profile full name. If we don't have that, we will try to get the profile. If we still don't have the username, then we'll set it unknown. Then owner avatar URL, if profile avatar URL is available, then we'll give that and created at. For that, we need to just parse the time, datetime.parse map created at. Now here we are going to be writing a copy width function. Here we'll create an image model, copy width. We'll pass all the attributes that we need, but all of them are going to be optional. And next we'll use the existing data if it's present, else if it's not present, then we'll use the data that we are currently passing. So in copy width function, we are mainly doing that we are copying the existing image data that we are storing inside the image model and only changing the attributes that we want to change. We are not creating a full image model again. Is more efficient than creating a new image model. This function will be requiring in case of updating the images or profile data. Now we have written our image model. Here inside Supabase servers, we need to write the function to upload images from our application by invoking the Supabase edge function that we have created, this one. So here first we'll have a future void upload image, and we'll have to pass the image file that will be a type of X file, and then some other more optional properties like string description and list of string tags. The function will be async, and here we'll be storing the bytes by calling await image file read as bytes, and our base64 image will be base64 encode to our bytes that we are getting. For this, you need to import the start convert function, and then here we need to get the mem type. It will be from image.mem type, or we'll just setting it as file or JPG if it's not present. And we need to build our data URI. It will be data colon mem type, then semicolon base64, and then our base64 image. Now we need to call our Supabase edge function. For this, we'll call await underscore client.functions.invoke. You need to give the name of our function. The name of our function was image dash uploading dash function. So here we need to give the function. It will be image dash uploading dash function, and then we need to also pass the body. Inside our edge function, we are required to pass the image, whether it's upload only or not, description, and then tags. So here we'll pass the image as our base64 data URI image, description will be the description, and tags will be the tags. If we don't set the upload only, by default it will be false, so we don't need to pass the upload only for now. We'll be doing that for profile upload, not here. And in this way, we have written the upload image function. Now, after our upload image function, we'll be writing the function to increment our likes for that specific image. For this, here we are going to be creating a future void like image function. it will be async. Here we need to pass the string image ID, and then we'll call await underscore client dot rpc. RPC function will be increment likes. We have already written the increment likes function, this one. So we want to call this, and we need in params, we need to pass the image ID as the image ID that we are getting in this function as input. Next, similar to down increment likes, we'll be also having an increment download function. Here we'll be having future void download image, and here we'll get the string image ID. Again, we'll call await underscore client dot rpc, pass the increment download function, and params will be image ID, the specific image ID that we're getting as input to this function. And here, this time we'll call this rpc function. Next, for deleting the image, we need to also have a function. So here we'll have a delete image function. Like here we'll call future void delete image. It will be an async function, and we need to pass the string image ID. Here we'll call underscore client from the name of our table. It will be images table, this one. And then here we'll call dot delete and equals to our ID, that will be our image ID. Simply calling this, it will delete the data from our images table. Next, we'll have one more function to update the image like description or tags. So here we'll create a future void update image function. String image ID is going to be mandatory. String description and list of tags are going to be optional. It will be an async function. And then here we'll be having a final updates variable. It will be of string dynamic, and here we are going to be checking if description is not equal to null, then we'll be setting the description as the description that we are getting, and if tags is not equal to null, we will set the tags as the tags that we are getting as input to this function. And if updates is not empty, means we have some data to update. In that case only, we'll call underscore client dot from our name of our table images dot update, pass our update map data, and we need to check if it's equal to image ID, that is going to be the image ID for that specific image. Let's also write one more method for reading all the images uploaded by the user. For getting all the images uploaded by the specific user, here we are going to be creating a future list of map string dynamic get user image. It will be an async function. Here we'll get the user from underscore client dot or dot current user. If user is equal to null, then we'll need to simply return an empty list. Else we'll return await underscore client from our images table, and we are going to be selecting all the data plus our profiles data containing our username, full name, and avatar URL, and we'll only load the data if it equals where owner underscore ID is equal to the user ID of that specific user, and here we'll also order it where created at ascending is to false. So now we have written the function to get user images. Now we can also write the function to load all the images that we have inside our database. Here select star means we are selecting all the data from our images as well as from our profiles table. We are joining the data and returning the data. Also similar to this, we'll write one more function to read all the images that are available inside our database. For this, here we'll have a future list of apps string dynamic get images. Here we are going to be having a page number and limit because we are going to be loading all the data in pagination. So this is very important. The function is going to be async, and here first we need to calculate the from. It will be page into the limit, and 2 it will be from plus limit minus 1. Means here we are setting the starting and ending number. Then we'll call return await underscore client dot from images, the name of our table, and here we are going to be selecting all the data from our images table as well as the profiles table. We are going to be getting the username, full name, and avatar URL. Means we are somewhat joining the data. Means here we are joining the data and returning, and here we are going to be ordering it created at ascending is equal to false. It means that we are loading the data in descending format. The latest one created will arrive first, and range will be from and to. Here this will be our starting and this will be our ending. This was the function to get all the images that are available inside our database, and we are going to be loading in form of pagination. Next, here we are going to be writing the search function to search images by description or tag name. Here we'll have future list of maps string dynamic. It will be search images function, and it will also be async. Here we need to pass the string query and also our pagination data, because there might be several number of images matching the query. So it's better to load in pagination. You will set the integer page as 0 and limit as 10. And then here we'll just decide our starting, that will be page into limit, and our ending, that will be from plus limit minus 1. And then here we are going to be calling await underscore client dot form images. Here we'll also select all the images as well as the profiles, username, full name, and avatar URL. And here we'll call or description is I like query or tags.cs the query. Here we are mainly searching the query using the I like function and for tags, and we are trying to search the tags from the query if it has a complete match, and then we are ordering it by created at ascending to false, and then we need to pass the range. It will be from and to. Now we have written all the functions that are related to our images table. Now we can start working with our UI part. Here, inside the pages, we'll create one more file. This will be upload underscore page dot dart. It will be a stateful widget. Let's name it as upload page. And here, for now, let's just have a scaffold here. Like if the user is signed in and they press the plus button, in that case, we should open the upload page. So now let's implement this first. Like when we click here on the plus floating action button inside our home page, this one, when we click here, we should be redirected to our upload page if we are logged in. So here we can have this logic. First, here we can have a session variable and check supabase.instance.client.or current session. If we don't have any session, in that case, we can redirect the user to the login page using navigator.push material page route, build a context to our login page. Else, we'll redirect them to our upload page using navigator.push context material page route to our upload page like this. Now, let's say if we click here, it's taking us to login page because we are not yet logged in. So let's log in. So now we are logged in. Now, if we try to click on the plus button, it's taking us to the upload page. Currently, we are working on the upload page. It's not yet built. Let's now work with the UI for the upload page. Here we'll start by having a x file underscore image file underscore picker, assigning it to image picker underscore description controller. It will be a text written controller underscore tags controller. It will also be an text written controller, and boolean is uploading. We'll set it to false by default. This x file is going to be from image picker.dart and also the image picker. And now here we'll start to design the UI for our upload page. Here just will have an app bar of app bar. Title will be text of upload image, and after the app bar in body we'll be having a column. Inside column will have children's. You will be having an aspect ratio widget. Here will pass the aspect ratio as 16:9. Child will be underscore image file if it's not equal to null. In that case, first we'll check whether we are using a web platform or not. This is from foundation.dart. And then if it's a web platform, we'll just use image.network, pass the image file, nullcheck.path, and fit will be box fit cover. Else, we'll use image.file. In this case, we'll use file, image file, nullcheck.path, and fit will be box fit.cover. If the image file does not exist and it's null, in that case, we'll just show a container, and decoration will be box decoration, colors will be colors.gray, border radius will be border radius.circular12, and in child we'll have center. Center will have one more child, it will be icon for icons.image, size will be 100, and color will be colors.gray. And in this way, when we save it, it will look something like this. After this, we'll be having a size box of height 24, then a text field where we'll have the controller as description controller, and decoration will be input decoration, label text will be description, border will be outline border, and end text will be enter image description, max lines will be 3 like this, and then you will be having a size box of height 16 for some more spacing. Then we'll have one more text field. It will be for our controller, tags controller. Here we'll have the same decoration, input decoration, label tag will be label text will be tags, and border will be outline input border, hint text will be nature, landscape, art, comma separated. Again, a size box for height, and now it is something like this. We have two text field. To make it more better, we can wrap this with a container, set constraints to box constraints, max width to 600 and padding to 24. Now it's okay. After the text form field, we'll be having a size box of height 24 for some spacing. Then we'll have a row main axis alignment will be main axis alignment dot space evenly, and in children's we'll be having an elevated button dot icon. On press for now we'll have a void function. Icon will be icons dot photo underscore library. Label will be text pick image, and style will be elevated button dot style form. Padding will be horizontal 24 and vertical 60 like this. And after this we'll be having another elevated button dot icon. On press we'll have a void function. Icon will be icon for icons dot cloud underscore upload. Label will check if it's uploading, then we'll show a sized box of width 20 and height 20 with a circular progress indicator, else will show the text as upload. And here also we'll have the same elevated button dot style form. Background color will be app colors dot primary, foreground color will be colors dot white, and padding will be edge insets dot symmetric, horizontal 24 and vertical 16. Now it is like this. We need to write the functionality so that we are able to pick the image and upload it inside our cloudinary account through our Supabase edge function. Now we have already written the Supabase functions inside Supabase service.dart, but we'll be also requiring to add it inside our providers for better state management. Here inside our app provider, we need to write some more logic. Now here inside our app provider, we'll be writing the images states. Like here we'll be having an underscore images variable. It will be a type of list of images. It will be a type of list of image model and we'll assign it to empty list. Here mainly we'll be storing all the images data that we load from our database and store inside our app. Those are going to be stored here. Then we'll be having boolean underscore is loading images, we'll set it to false, and boolean underscore has more images, we'll set it to true, and string question mark images error, it is question mark because it may be nullable and we may get a null value. Then for by default, when we start fetching the API, by default when we start loading the data from our data API in Supabase, we'll be setting the current page as 0. So here we are declaring int underscore current page to 0. Then here we'll also have static const int page size equal to 10. That means we are setting the page limit as 10. When in every chunks, it will only load 10 data of image models. And now here we are having a list of image model. When we get images, it will deliver all the images that we load and store inside underscore images. Then boolean get is loading images. It will return whether it's loading images or not. And then boolean get has more images. It will also return whether the response contains more images or not. And then string question mark get images error. If we have any error, we'll return that. Then for my upload state, the user is also uploading images. Those images that are uploaded by user are going to be stored here. So here we'll be also having a list of image model. It will be underscore my uploads, empty list for now. And then here we'll be also having boolean underscore loading my uploads, set it to false, and string underscore my uploads error. And then we'll write the get function like list of image model get my upload will be underscore my uploads. Boolean get is loading my uploads. Here will return is underscore is loading my uploads, and string question mark get my uploads error will return my uploads error. So now we have declared these starting variables. Now we need to start writing the function. First function will be to read all the images that are there inside our database. We have already written some logic like this get images function will load the images in pagination from our database, but from our provider we need to call that after we call the Supabase function, that is Supabase service.get images, and we need to store those images inside underscore images so that we can use provider and state management in our application, and those images get accessed anywhere inside our application and any state changes get immediately reflected in our app. That's the main reason for using provider as a state management in our application. Now let's start to write the functions. Here we'll start by writing a future void load images function. Here we'll pass boolean refresh to false, and it will be an async function. Here we are going to be checking if is loading images is true, then don't do anything, just return and close the function. Means if we call this function multiple number of times and it's already loading, in that case, we'll just reject the request. If refresh is true, in that case, we'll set underscore current page to 0, because when the user tries to refresh it, we should start to load all the data fresh from our database. For that, we need to set the current page to 0, and then we'll set if has images, we'll set it true, and then images will be empty list because we are loading from scratch. And then we need to also call this notify listeners. It's important, otherwise it will not update the state. And then here we'll also check if not has more images, then we'll just return the function, because there is no need to call if there no images exist anymore. And then we'll just, if more images exist, in that case we'll just set is loading images to true, and images error will set it to null, and then we'll notify our listeners. Then we'll wrap it with try catch. This time here we'll start to call our Supabase service that get images function. So here we'll have a data variable and use await Supabase service dot get images. Here this functions accept us to pass the page number as well as the limit. So page will be our underscore current page, and the limit will be underscore page size, that is 10, we have already defined here. Next, here we'll have a new images variable. It will be a type of list of image models. We'll get the data and we'll map over each of the data and convert this to image model and then store it in a list. So in this way, new images has a list of image model. Here we'll check if new images dot length is less than the page size. In that case, we'll just set that has more images to false, because if new images dot length is lesser than the page size, means if the new images length is 5 and page size is 10, it means that it does not contain more images than 10. In that case, we can simply stop calling our data API and stop this. For that, here we are setting as more images to false, and if it's a refresh, then we'll set underscore images to new images, else we'll just use underscore images dot add all the new images that we have. It means that we're appending to the underscore images variable, and then we'll just increment the current page, and if we have any error, we'll just store that error inside underscore images error e dot to string, and finally we'll set underscore is image loading to false. And importantly, we need to also notify our listeners so that it updates the states. So in this case, we have just written our first function, that is loading all the images shared by the users. Next, we'll have a function. Now, after this, we'll be having one more function. It will be future void load my uploads. It will also be an async function. Here, mainly will be calling all the images that belong. You will be calling the function and load all the images that belong to the specific user who had belongs to the specific user who had just uploaded this image, who had shared the images. So here we'll just call underscore is loading my uploads to true, underscore my uploads error to null, and notify our listeners. Then we'll use try catch, and finally, first we'll create a data variable called Supabase service dot get user images. This function that we have written, our logic, and then here we'll set underscore my uploads to data.map. For each data, we'll convert it to image model by calling image model from map, passing that specific data, and then converting it to list, and in return it becomes a list of image model. And in case if we have any error, we'll just store that error in underscore my uploads error. The error will be error to string, and then we'll set underscore is loading my uploads to false, and then finally we'll notify our listeners. In this way, we have just written the function to load all the images that belong to the specific user. Now we need to open upload underscore page dot dart file, and here we'll be writing the functions to add functionality to our pick image and upload image to cloudinary, and calling our Supabase function. Here we'll be having a void underscore pick image function. It will be an async function. Here we'll be creating a variable picked file. We'll call await underscore picker dot pick image. Source will be our image source dot gallery. And if our picked file is not equal to null, in that case we can just call set state and set the underscore image file as our picked file. Next, we'll be creating a future void underscore upload image function. It will be also async. Here we'll check if our underscore file is equal to null. In that case, we'll return and close the function. Else, we'll set the state for underscore is uploading to true, and then here we'll wrap it with try catch, and finally first we'll get the tags from our underscore tags controller text. Here, the user will add some tags separated by comma. So we need to split them by commas and then we'll to map each of them and trim them and check if the text after splitting is not empty and then converting all of them to list. And then we'll call context.read. Our specific provider was app provider. The code that we have written here will be using this upload image function. For this, we need to pass the image file, description, and list of string tags. Both description and tags are optional. So here we need to pass our image file, description, and list of tags. So the image file will be our underscore image file. We'll add a null check here, and then description will be inside underscore description controller.text, and we need to trim. That means the description that user is going to be typing here is going to be added and passed through this upload image function, and then we'll pass the tags as the tags that we get in form of list after splitting it by comma. And after this, we'll check if the widget is mounted. In that case, we'll just show a snack bar that image uploaded successfully, and then we'll close this page. And if we have any error in catch method, we'll check if our widget is mounted, and that will also show a snack bar. This time we'll show a snack bar upload failed with the error. And finally, we'll also check if widget is mounted. We'll just set state is uploading to true. And now we have written both the function. Now we are going to be linking. First, we'll link underscore pick image with this button and underscore upload image with this button. Let's do it. Here inside our on press pick image button, we need to call our underscore pick image function. Here we can check if underscore uploading is equal to true. In that case, we don't need to do anything. We'll just return null. Else, we'll call underscore pick image function that we have recently created. And then here inside our upload elevated button, here also, if image file is equal to null or is uploading, in that case we don't need to do anything. We can just return null. Else we'll call the underscore upload image function. Now we have linked both of them. Here it's showing nothing for now. Let's just try to pick some images and add some description and add some tags. And now let's try to upload. So here it's showing image uploaded successfully, but we need to verify with our Supabase function whether it's working correctly or not. So here inside our edge functions, we have one execution. Here it mainly ran successfully. Now we need to verify with our cloudinary console. Inside our assets folder, now we have one more folder. This is image sharing app. And here we have our image. That means our serverless function is working correctly and we are not having any issues. So now our image upload is working. Let's try to add some more images so that we can test the pagination. So now we have uploaded some images and all the images are So now we have uploaded some images inside our cloudinary console and the images are also here inside our database. Now it's time to display those images inside our home page. We have already written those functions like load images inside our provider. It will easily load all the images by calling Supabase service.get function, passing the page and the limit. We can call those and display those images inside our home screen. So for this, just open home.dart. You will be having a final scroll controller underscore scroll controller of type of scroll controller. We are assigning a scroll controller first because every time we get the data in chunks of 10s or 20s, and every time we scroll down, we need to load more data. For that pagination, we need to use a scroll controller to detect the scroll and load more data. Now, here, after the scroll controller, you will be having edit state as well as this post state. Here we are going to be creating a void underscore scroll function. Here we'll be checking if our underscore scroll controller dot position dot pixels is greater than equals to underscore scroll controller dot position dot max scroll extent minus 200. In that case, we'll initialize our provider. We'll call context.read app provider, and it will be inside our provider variable. And then we can simply call provider.load images, and rest everything this function is going to handle for us. And now in our init state, we can start to add a underscore scroll controller dot add listener, and in a listener we can just add this on scroll function, and after that we'll start to load the images. You will call widgets mining dot instance dot add post frame callback, and here we'll call context dot read app provider dot load images. So that means when we are going to be launching this application, it's going to be calling context.read app provider.load images, and it's going to be loading the first set of images for us. And after that, if we keep scrolling on, and it's just going to be loading more images for us from our database. In this pose, we need to just simply call scroll controller.dispose. Now, before working on the body part of our app bar, we are going to be creating an image card widget that we are going to be reusing it inside our home screen. Here we'll start by creating a class underscore image card. It will extend, it will be a stateless widget, and here first we'll have an image of type of image model, the specific model that we have written, and then we'll initialize it. Underscore image card will have required this image. Means we need to pass the image of written type of image model to this function. After that, we are going to be initializing the underscore image card class, and here we are required to pass the image. Then here we'll start to write the build logic. First, here we are going to be having a gesture detector. On tab for now, it will be a void function, and then here we are going to be returning a card of clip behavior of clip behavior, clip dot and the alias. Shape will be rounded rectangular border, border will be border radius dot circular 12, elevation will be 2, and in child we are going to be returning a stack widget. Here in children's, we'll first have a column. In column we are going to be using cross-axis alignment dot stretch. In children's, we'll first have a cache network image. Here, we'll be using the image URL as the image URL that we are getting from the image model image. And then fit will be boxfit.cover. Placeholder, we have already imported the Shrimmer package inside our application, so we are going to be using that. You will be getting the context and URL, and we'll be calling Shrimmer from class. Base color we are going to be setting gray 300, highlight color will be gray 100, and in child we are going to be returning container of colors.white. Then in error widget we'll be getting the context URL as well as the error. We'll just return icons.error. After that, we'll be having one more widget inside our stack children. It will be a position widget. Here we'll position it to bottom 0, left 0, and right 0. Means at the end, you will have a container. Decoration will be box decoration. Gradient will be linear gradient. Begin from alignment.bottom center to alignment.top center. In colors, we are going to be having colors.black with opacity 0.7 and colors.transparent. And then here we are going to be having padding of edge insets all 8. After that, we are going to be having one more row inside our stack. This time, here we'll be having children's. First, if image.ownerAvatar URL is not equal to null, then in that case, we can show the owner avatar URL. So here we'll be calling circle avatar, passing radius as 10, and in background image, we are going to be using cache network image provider. Image will be owner avatar URL, and also add a null check at the end. And then else we'll just show a circle avatar of radius 10. This time it will be background color, colors.gray, and we'll have an icon as child. It will be icons.person with some basic styling like size 12 and colors.white. After this, we'll be having a size box of width 8. This is inside our row. After this, we'll be having an expanded widget of child text. Text will be image.owner display name. All this is from our image model, and if display name is not present, we'll just set it to unknown with some basic styling. Text style, colors to colors.white, font size to 18, font weight to font weight .w500, and max lines to 1, and overflow to text overflow ellipse. In case if it's a very long name, we'll just show the starting part with some ellipse. Now we have written our image card widget. Now here inside the scaffold body, we are showing Mancinelli grid view, and also currently we are having a container like this. Instead of this container, we'll be showing that image card and we'll be passing the image data that we are receiving from our provider. For this, we are going to wrapping this Mancinelli grid view with a widget. It will be our consumer widget, and it will be a return type of the app provider that we have written. And here we'll be getting the builder. So here we are going to be getting the context, value, and child. Instead of value, we can just make it as provider. Here we are going to be having a final display images. Here we'll store the provider.images value is loading. Here we'll store provider.is loading images value, and final has more. Here also we will be storing provider.has more images value. And after this, we need to show a progress loading. So for this also we are going to be using the streamer effect. Here we are getting the is loading value. With this we can show a loading effect. Here we'll be calling if is loading is equal to true and display.images is empty. In that case, we are loading the images. So here we'll be returning streamer.fromColors, this one. So first you will set the base color as colors.gray 300, highlight color colors.gray 100, and in child we are going to be using Mancinelli grid view.count. Also the similar logic like our display UR, media query.off context.size greater than 600, then show 3 counts or show 2 counts. In main axis spacing it will be 8, and cross axis spacing it will be also 8. In padding it will be agencies 8, and in item count it will be 8. In item count we'll be getting the context and index. In this case we are just specifying some random heights for a container. As we know that all the containers are not going to be having the same height. Some images are going to be having some different heights. So you're just doing some random calculation and returning a container of the height that we are having. From this, it will create container height of the specific heights that we are specifying it. And after this, we'll have a decoration or box decoration colors will be, and border radius will be border radius dot circular 12. So now we have written our first if logic. Here we'll be having one more logic. Now after this if logic, we'll have some more if logic, like if our provider.images error is not equal to null, that means that we are having some error. If this would be null in all the cases, if we don't have any error. So if the string value is having something and not null, then we should display that error to our user. We have some error. For this, we are going to be returning a center widget text. Child will be text. Error will be inside our provider.images error, and we are going to be displaying that. And then if display images is empty, that means that we don't have any images to display the user. For this, we are going to be returning a center widget of child text, no images yet, be the first to upload. And now, after this, we'll be returning the function. And after all of this, we need to end the function. For this, we'll call return statement. And instead of this child, we'll just copy the full widget that we have written. We'll just return this like this and remove this child property. So now it is something like this. Now, instead of this container, we'll be showing the real data. For this, here inside our controller, we can just specify our scroll controller, and in our item count, it will not be 10. It will be display images dot length, the data that we're having here, dot length, plus if it has more, then you will be adding 1, or otherwise we will be adding 0. And also an item builder will no longer have this empty container. Instead, we'll be checking if index is equal to display images dot length. In that case, we'll be returning padding of agencies all 16 and returning center as child, and inside center we'll be having a child of circular progress indicator, and our image will be inside display images for that specific index. And then we can return our underscore image card and pass the image that we're getting from the display images for that specific index. So now let's try to restart. Here it's showing a streamer. Now here it's showing all the images that are uploaded by the specific user. Like this user has uploaded this 4 images and here it's showing like this. Now we are able to view the images that are uploaded by the users. Now what we want, when we click on the specific image, it should open the specific image in the new widget so that we can view, download and like the image. So for that, inside our pages, here we'll be creating one more file. It will be image underscore detail underscore page dot. It will also be a stateful widget. It will be image detail page. Instead of placeholder, it will be a scaffold. Now we can start to link it with our main page. So when we click on this image card, gesture detector, it should take us to the image detail page. So here we'll just call navigator.push context, use material page route, builder, here will be context, and it will be our image detail page, the page that we have recently created. So now when we click any of these images, it is taking us to the image detail page. Now we need to edit our image detail page. Here we'll be having a final written type of image model image and we'll be requiring to pass that. So inside our home, here also we need to pass the image. Image will be inside the image model, this one that we are having. Let's save it. Now here when we try to click here, it's taking us to the image detail page. Along with the image data is also getting passed. So now we can use that image data and display that full image inside this image detail page. Here inside our build context, we are going to be creating a latest image variable where we are going to be calling context.select app provider and image model. So here the app provider will be from our app provider and select will be from our provider. And then here we are going to be getting the data from provider. Let's save it as provider only. So now we can call provider.images.findWhere will be where our image.id matches with the widget.image.id. Else we can just return the widget.image that we are having. So in this case, what we are doing, we are trying to searching more data from our provider by matching our image ID that we are getting. And if we are not able to load, at least we have the image from the image data that we are passing through the material route. So else we are going to be using that as a fallback model. And again, in scaffold, we are going to be having background colors, colors.black, string app true, and ABBA will be background colors transparent elevation to 0 and icon theme will be icon theme of colors.white. Now it is looking something like this. Here inside our body for scaffold first will be having a stack budget and fit will be as stack fit dot expand and then we can use the children property and start to write the UI. First, you will be having an interactive viewer. In child, we'll be having a center, and then in child, we'll be having a cache network image. Here, image URL will be the latest image.image URL. Fit will be box.content, and placeholder. Here, we'll be having a center, child as circular progress indicator, colors white, and header widget. Here, we'll be passing the context and URL. It will be icons.error and color will be colors.white. So now it is looking something like this. Now after this interactive viewer, we'll be having more widgets. After this here, we are going to be creating an action widget. We'll be using it for liking the image or downloading the image inside local storage. Let's do it. Here, after our image detail page, we'll be having a stateless widget this time. It will be underscore action button, and here we'll be having some variables like final icon data, icon, string, label, color, and void callback on pressed. We need to make all of this as required. And here, instead of this placeholder, we will be having an inkwell widget. And here on tab, we'll be passing the on pressed function that we are getting. Your border radius will be border radius dot circular 30. Child will be having a container that will have a padding of edge insets dot symmetric, horizontal 24 and vertical 50 and vertical 12. Decoration will be box decoration. And in color, we are going to be having colors dot white with opacity 0.1. Border radius will be border radius.circular30, border will be border.all, and color will be colors.white with opacity 0.2. And after this, inside container, we are going to be having a child row. Row will have children's, and in children, the first one will be the icon. The icon data that we are passing to this widget, and color will be the color that we are also passing to this widget, and size will be 28. After this, we are going to be having a size box of width height for some spacing. Then we'll be having the text label that we are passing to this widget with some styling using text style. Color will be colors.white, and font size will be 18, and font weight will be font weight.bold. Now we have written our underscore action button. This is underscore, that means it's a private widget. It can be only used within this inside image underscore detail underscore page dot dart. Inside our image detail page, here we are going to be having an underscore show full details variable. We'll set it to false because the description may be big, and for that we need to have some kind of button so that when the user press that, it shows the full description. For that, we'll be using this underscore show full details variable. Now, after the interactive viewer, here we are going to be having one more widget. It will be our position widget, and here we'll be having bottom 0, left 0, right 0, and here we are going to be having a container as child. Padding will be agentsets.all24, decoration will be box decoration, gradient. Here we are going to be having linear gradient. Begin will be from element.bottom center, end to element.top center. Color will be from colors.black.opacity 0.9 to colors.transparent. And then here we are going to be having a column. Cross-axis element will be cross-axis element.start. Mean axis size will be mean axis size dot minimum. And in children's, we'll be having first the header row with the honor info plus the expand button. First here we'll have a row cross-axis element to cross-axis element dot start. In children's, here first we check if latest image dot owner avatar URL is not equal to null. That means that if the owners who uploaded this image avatar profile URL is available, in that case we are going to be showing that. So here in circle avatar, here we'll be passing the background image as cached network image provider. Image will be the latest image dot owner avatar URL with a null check, else will return a circle avatar of background color colors.gray, and in child will be having an icon for icons.person with color as colors.white. After this, we are going to be having a size box of width 12, and then an expanded widget. Here will be having a column of cross-axis element.start, and in children will be having a text latest image dot owner display name. If it is present, else will show unknown with some text decoration. You will use style as text style, colors to colors.white, font size 18, font weight to bold, and then here we'll be having the description part. Here we'll check if latest image dot description is not equal to null and latest image dot description is not empty. In that case, we'll be using a padding widget top 4, and here we'll display the text latest image dot description with some style. Here we'll use text style. Color will be colors.white 70, and font size will be 14. Max line, here if show full details is true, in that case we'll show null, else we'll show 2 as max line. Here also in overflow we'll check if show full details is true, in that case we'll show null, else we'll just fix the overflow by adding a text overflow.libs. Now as you can see, here it's the circle avatar. Since the user does not have a profile image, here it's showing the person icon as well as the name and the description. Now after this, here the expanded widget part is done. Now here we are working with the row. Here we are going to be adding some buttons. So inside the row, after the expanded widget, if latest image dot tags is not empty, or latest image dot description is not equal to null, and latest image dot description length is greater than 50, in that case we'll be returning an icon button. For on press, we'll just set the state show full details. If it's true, show full details to not show full details. It means that the current value is true, it will set it to false. If it is false, it will set it to true, and like this it will go on. Here we'll be having an icon. If underscore show details is true, in that case we'll show icons.keyboard arrow down, else we'll show icons.more underscore horizon. Here we are going to be adding some color. Color will be colors.white. Now it is looking something like this. If we click here, now as you can see that it is changing. Now as you can see, Here we have this icon button. When we click here, this more horizontal button icon that we have, it just changed to keyboard arrow down. This is our logic, and when we click here, it returns to this. Now we'll be writing the logic for our tags to show. Here for expandable tags section, here we'll check if show full details is true and latest image.tags is not empty. In that case, we are going to be showing the tags. Here we'll be having a padding widget of age insets only top to 16 to add some spacing in top area. After this, we'll be having the child as wrap. Here we are setting the spacing as 8 and also the run spacing as 6. In children's, we'll map over each of the tags. The tags are in form of list of strings, so we need to map over each of the item. So for that, for each of the tag that we get here, well, at the end we need to convert it to list because in children it accepts us to pass a widget of list. So here we are going to be returning the container. For each tag, we are returning a container with a padding of edge insert symmetric horizontal 12, vertical 6, and decoration will be having box decoration. Color will be colors.white with opacity 0.2. Border radius will be border radius.circular 20, and border.all will be colors.white with opacity 0.3, and at last we'll be having the child as text with the tag specific tag after mapping over each of the tag, and its style will be having text style. Color will be colors.white, font size will be 14, and font weight will be font weight.w500. So now it will be like this. When we click here, it is showing all the tags, and when we click here again, it is just hiding the tags. So now this is looking quite good. After this, here we'll be having a sized box for some more spacing. Now it's okay. So now we have basically done with our UI, but we need to also give the action buttons that we have created here, underscore action button widget. So here, after the sized box, here we will start to write our action buttons. First, here we'll be using a row. Main axis alignment will be main axis alignment dot space evenly. And in children, we'll be having an underscore action button. Here, the icon will be icons dot favorite. Label will be latest image dot likes. And for color, we are going to be using app colors dot accent is this red color. And for on press, we are not doing anything, just returning a void function for now. And another action button. It will be for icons.download, and label will be latest image.downloads, and color will be colors.white, and here also in onPressed we'll just have a void function. Currently it looks something like this. We don't have any functionality for this button, but we are going to be adding that. Now here we need to work on the actions button so that when we press this one should increment the likes counter. And also when we press this button, it should download the file and also increment the download counter. For that, we need to write the function in our provider. We have already written the function for like image and download image inside our Supabase service.dart, but inside our provider, we have not written those functions. So let's work on it. Before working on this, we'll be requiring some packages. For this, we'll be using Flutter, Perp, Add, Dio, as well as Image Gallery Saver Plus. So now we have two packages, that is Dio and Image Gallery Saver Plus are added. When we click on this download button, it should download the image and save inside the local storage of the spec. Before using, we need to have some permissions both for iOS and Android. For that, inside our Android app src main Android manifest.xml, we are going to be having some permissions. First one will be for internet permission, second one will be for writing to external storage, and third one will be for reading through external storage. Because when the user is uploading image, in that time we need to read the external storage, and when we are saving or downloading the image, that time we need the access for write external storage. And also similar to Android, for iOS we also need to give some permissions, like inside iOS runner info.plist. Here we need to give some permissions. Here we need to paste it. NS photo library usage, and we need to also give the string and NS photo library at description. Inside our app provider, let us write the function so that it can increment the like inside our app provider. So here we'll have a void future function. It will be like image. We need to pass the image ID. It is going to be an async function. We are going to be wrapping with catch. First, we'll call await underscore Supabase service dot like image, and we need to pass our image ID. We have already written this RPC calling function inside our Supabase service dot dart. After calling this function, here we'll be creating an index variable where we'll check underscore images dot index where image ID is equal to image. In that case, we'll check if index is not -1. In that case, we'll set the current image to the specific image. For that specific image, we'll set current image dot copy width and just increment the like so that we can immediately reflect the increment inside our UI, and then we'll notify listeners. In this way, what will happen when we click on this button, it will immediately reflect and change our like counter, and in this way our data gets updated in provider. Next, in catch, if we get anything, then we'll just rethrow that error. It can handle by our parental catch function. Similar to this, we are also going to be writing a download function. Here we'll be having a future void download image function. We need to pass string image ID and string image URL, make it async, and similar to our previous one, here also we are going to be having try catch. And first, we need to download the image in form of bytes. So for that, you will create a response variable called await do.get, pass the image URL and the options. We need to import this package. Now response is storing the image in form of bytes. Now we need to save that bytes data inside our gallery. For that, here we'll be creating a result variable and calling await image gallery saver plus dot save image and pass the unit list from list. It's inside our response.data, and then save the quality as maximum, set it to 100, and the name will be image underscore image ID. And here we need to also import the image gallery saver plus package as well as the unit list package, and then we need to check if our result is equal to null or its success is not equal to true. In that case, we are having some error. So we need to throw an exception so that we can handle it later on, like fail to save to gallery. Else, we'll just increment the download count. Here we are going to be calling await underscore Supabase service dot download image and pass the image ID. And then here we need to get the index. So we'll be getting that index from underscore images dot index where image dot id is equal to the image id. In that case, we'll returning that index. After we get the index, we'll check if index is not equal to -1. In that case, we'll be getting the current image from images of that specific index, and then we can increment the download immediately in our provider by setting images for that specific index, current image.copy with download, and increment the download by 1. In this way, our provider will get the increment reflected immediately, and then we need to notify our listeners so that it can update in our provider. Then we can just rethrow the error if we have any. Now we have written both the function inside image detail page only. In on-press, we'll call context.read provider, our app provider, and then we'll call the like image function, pass the image ID, it will be inside latest image.image ID, and then in case of any error, we can just check if our context is mounted or not. In that case, we'll just return a snack bar of text, fail to like the image. And also similar to this, inside our download button, we'll be also calling context.read app provider and call the download image function that we have recently written, pass the image ID as well as the image URL, and then we can check if our context is mounted or not. If our context is mounted, in that case, we'll just call a snack bar of text image downloaded to gallery, because after this function, when we call, it will either download the image in gallery or it will throw an error. So here then if we have any error, in that case we'll check if context is mounted or not. If context is mounted, we'll just show a snack bar download failed. Now let us try to test our function. Now let us try to like this image. Here the like counter got increased. Let us also try to download this image. Here it's asking us for permissions. Let's allow it. And now our image is saved to gallery. In recently save, it just downloaded the file. Now, if we also check our database, you'll find that the likes and the download counter got incremented. That means our functions are working correctly. Now we are only left with two parts, that is user profile as well as user uploads. The images that are uploaded by the user in the home page, all the images that are there inside our database uploaded by all the users are going to be shown. But in users my uploads, only the uploads by users are going to be shown. So let's work on that. Now we are going to be starting to work with user profile. For this, when user click on this profile, it should take to the current user profile page. Before writing the profile UI, we need to write the functions to read the database, to update the database. For that, inside Supabase underscore service, we need to write some functions. You will write the function to get the user profile. For this, you will be having a future map of string from a dynamic and data may be nullable. For that, we are having question mark. Name of the function is get user profile. It will be an async function. Here, first we need to get the user. It will be from our underscore dot auth dot current user, and if user is equal to null, then we need to do nothing and return null. Else, we'll create a data variable, and here we are going to be storing the result from await underscore client from profiles select, and here we need to specify the ID. The ID will be the current user ID, and here we need to specify maybe single. So it means that it will either return one row or nullable, and then here will just simply return the data. And in this way, we can load the full user profile for the specific current user. Then we need to write one more function to update user profile. For this, here we are going to be creating a future void update profile, and here we will be requiring string question mark full name, string question mark username, and x file question mark avatar file. All these three files are optional. If they want them, they can update. Here it will be also an async function. Here we'll again get the user from underscore client dot or dot current user, and if user is equal to null, then don't do anything, just return an end function. Here we'll have a final updates variable where we are going to be storing the keys and values that need an update. You will be getting the ID from the user.id. Updated that will be datetime.now to ISO 8601 string. If full name is not equal to null, then update full name will be the full name that is passed. If username is not equal to null, then update username to the username that is passed. If the avatar file is not equal to null, in this case we need to update and save it inside our cloudinary by calling the Supabase edge function. Here first we'll convert the image file to bytes. So here we will be storing bytes by calling avatar file dot read as bytes. It will be await because it will take some time to complete, and we need to wait until this complete. Then proceed to next step. We'll be getting the base64 image from base64 encode and passing the bytes. Name type will be from avatar file dot name type. If we don't get any name type, we'll set images slash jpg. Data URI will be data URI pass data URI. Data URI will be data colon name type question mark base64 comma base64 image that we are getting. Next, here we need to be invoking the Supabase edge function. Here we are creating a response variable using await client dot functions dot invoke the name of our edge function, and in body we'll be passing the image data URI and upload only to true. If you remember, inside our Supabase function, we have an upload only thing. If it's true, then we are going to be storing the images in image sharing app DPs. Else, we'll be storing the images in image sharing app. So that's the main thing. Here we are setting it true so that it stores in some different folder, and here we don't need to pass the data like description and tags. And after this, here we'll get the data will be inside response.data. If data is not equal to null and data image URL is not equal to null, in that case we'll just set the updates and avatar URL to the data of image URL that we are getting from the response after uploading. And then we'll call await underscore client from profiles offset and pass the data and update the data in our database. Now we have written the function for updating the profile and getting the user profile. Now we can work on creating a user profile page so that they can view their own profile. Here inside pages, we'll be creating one more file. It would be profile underscore page dot dart. Now since we are using provider, so we need to call these functions from our provider. So here we need to write some more functions. First, we need to declare all the variables that will be requiring for our profile state. Here we'll be having map of string comma dynamic underscore profile, boolean is loading profile, setting it to false, string profile error, and then we'll be creating a get profile function where we are going to be returning our value of underscore profile. Boolean get is profile where we are going to be returning the value of underscore is loading profile. String get profile error where we are going to be returning the value of underscore profile error. And now here we need to write the functions. Here we need to write a function inside our provider to load the profile and update our profile. Here we are going to be writing the function to load the current user profile. Here we'll be having a future void load profile. Here we'll be setting underscore is loading profile to true underscore profile error to null, and then we need to notify our listeners. Then we are going to be wrapping with try catch, and finally first here we'll be getting the profile data by calling the function await underscore supabase service dot get user profile, the function that we recently created. And after this, if we get any error from the above Supabase service function, then we are going to be setting that error inside underscore profile error, and then finally we'll set as loading profile to false and notify our listeners. This was very simple function, and we'll be calling this by our provider inside our profile page, and we'll be using this multiple number of times. So we need to create a function inside our provider. Next, we are going to be writing the function to update the profile of the current user. Here we'll be having a future void update profile, and here we'll be having some optional properties to pass like string question mark full name, string question mark username, and x file question mark avatar file. All these three files are optional. If they are willing to pass, then it will be updated. So here we are going to be wrapping with try catch. First, we'll be calling await underscore supervised service dot update profile, and we need to pass this three optional properties if they are available. So full name will be full name, username will be username, and avatar file will be avatar file. Then we need to also refresh our main profile. So this was the function for refreshing of profile. So we'll be calling await load profile so that it loads and fetch the current data and notify our listeners so that our providers update our state immediately. And we need to also load the images. Load images is the function that we call to load all the images that we have inside our home screen, and then you will just rethrow in case of any error. Now we have written the function for update and loading the profile. Now we can work on the profile page for the current user. Inside our pages, we'll be creating one more file. This will be profile underscore page dot dart. This will be a stateful widget, and name will be profile page. For now, let's just have a scaffold, and let's also add the functionality like when we click on this profile button, it should open this profile page. Now in our home page here, we are already having a if else logic when the button is selected. So here we'll be having an else if value is equal to profile, then we'll use navigator.push, pass the context, use material page route. In builder, we'll have the context and call our profile page, the page that we have recently created, just import it. And now what will happen when we click on this circle avatar and click on profile, it's taken to our profile page, and now we are going to be working on this profile page. Here first, we'll start by declaring some variables like underscore full name controller, assigning it to text editing controller, underscore username controller, assigning it to text editing controller, and x file question mark underscore avatar file boolean underscore is saving, setting it to false by default. In our init state, here we'll be loading the profile on start. So we'll be calling widget binding dot instance at post frame callback, and here we'll be calling context dot read our app provider, and then call the function to load profile. When we call this load profile function, we just set the profile data inside underscore profile, and now we will be able to access the profile by calling the get profile method. After this, we'll be having the did change dependencies method. As we are showing the profile, we need to load all the data and populate it before the UI is built. So we are using the did change dependencies function. Here we'll write the logic for populating our data. Here we'll get the profile from context.watch.appprovider.profile. This is the get function where we get the data that has been stored after calling the load profile function. And then if profile is not equal to null, in that case we'll check if full name controller.text is empty and profile full name is not equal to null. In that case, we can update and set the data here. Here we'll just set our full name controller. In that case, we'll just set underscore full name controller.text to the profile full name that we are getting from our database. Similar to our username, if username controller.text is empty and profile username is not equal to null, in that case, also underscore username.text will be the profile username that we are getting from our database. Inside our scaffold, we'll be having a very basic UI. First, we'll set the background color as colors.white. Appa will be appa, passing background color as colors.white, elevation to 0, center title to true. In title, we'll be having the text of edit profile. Here we'll be having the style as text style colors.black and font sum and font weight to font weight.bold. In leading, we'll be having an icon button. Here we'll be having the icon for icon.arrowback and color will be colors.black. In on press, we'll just call navigator.pop. So it will be something like this. Now we need to work on the body part of the scaffold. Here we are going to be having a consumer widget. Return type will be of app provider. Here we are going to be having our builder, context provider, and child. And first we'll check if provider is loading profile. In that case, we'll return a center circular progress indicator. Else, we'll check if provider.profile error is not equal to null. In that case, we'll return that error that is there in center text error and the error that we are getting. And then we are going to be loading the current avatar URL. It will be inside provider.profile question mark avatar underscore URL. And then we'll return single child scroll view. Padding will be edge and sets all 24. In child will be having column, and in children we'll first have a gesture detector. For now on tab we are not going to be having anything. For now on tab it will just be a void function. In child for gesture detector, here we'll be having a stack. Again, in children, we'll first have a circle avatar, radius 60, background color to colors.gray, 100. Background image will be if avatar file is not equal to null. In that case, we'll just load the file from file image, pass the file as avatar file.path, the local part of the file. Else, we'll check if current avatar URL is not equal to null. In that case, we'll use cache network image provider and pass the current avatar URL. And if we don't have anything, in that case, we'll just return null, and then we'll return it as image provider, as this function background image accepts us to return in form of image provider. After this, we'll be having a child widget where we'll check if underscore avatar file is equal to null and current avatar URL is equal to null. In that case, means we are only having null data, there's nothing to show. In that case, we'll just show the icon for icons.person, size to 60, and color will be colors.gray. Else we'll be returning null, because if we are having any data, then we don't need to call it in the child widget. We'll be calling that in our background widget only, and that's happening. Next, we'll be having a position widget. Here, bottom will be 0, right will be 0. In child, we'll be having container. Padding will be agencies.all 8. Decoration will be box decoration. Color will be colors.black. Shape will be box shape.circle. Child will be an icon for icons.camera alt. Color will be colors.white. Size will be 20. and then we'll be having a size box of height 12, and then here we are going to be having a text button. For now, on press it will be a void function. Child will be a text as change avatar, and here we'll be having a text style of colors dot pink accent, and font weight to font weight dot 600. After that, we are also going to be having a size box of height 32 for more spacing. And after this, we'll be having a column. Here will be setting cross-axis element to cross-axis element dot start. Then in children, we'll be having a text widget, full name, style will be text style, font size 14, font weight dot w500, and color will be colors dot black 87. Again, a size box of height 8 for some spacing. Here we'll be having the text field. We have already declared the text editing controllers. It was our full name controller and username controller. We are going to be using that here first. In controller, we'll be having our underscore full name controller. In decoration, here we'll be having an input decoration. Field will be to true. Fill color will be colors.gray 100. Border will be outline. Input border. Border radius will be border radius.circular 12. Border side will be border side dot none, and content padding will be edge and sits all 16. Now our UI is looking something like this. Similar to our full name, we'll be also having the username. So before that, we'll be having a size box of height 24, and again a column. You will be having cross-axis element as cross-axis element dot start. Here we'll be having the text as username and same styling like our full name. Font size 14, font weight W500, and color will be colors.black 87. Then a size box of height 8 for some spacing. Here we'll be having a text field. This time controller will be underscore username controller. Decoration will be input decoration. Fill will be to true. Fill color will be colors.gray 100. Border will be outline input border. Border radius will be border radius.circular 12. Border side will be border side dot none, and then content padding it will be 16, very similar to our full name. And after this, we'll be having a size box of height 48, and then a size box of with double dot infinity with a height of 50. Child will be elevated button. Here on press again we are going to be having a void function for now. In style we'll be having elevated button dot style font, background color to colors dot black, and shape will be rounded rectangle border. Border radius will be border radius dot circular 12. Elevation will be 0, and in child will check if it's saving. In that case, we'll show a size box of width 20, height 20, a circular progress indicator, and if it's not saving, in that case, we'll show a text of save profile. And here we need to give some text style, colors to white, colors to colors.white, font size 16, and font weight to bold. And in this way, we have built the UI for our edit profile page. Now we need to add functionality to it. For that, we need to write some functions, more functions. Now here, inside our profile page, we need to write some more functions. First, here we'll be writing future void underscore pick avatar function. We'll be using this function to pick image using the image picker. Here we'll be having a picker variable where we'll be calling image picker. Here we are going to be having a picker variable. We'll initialize it to image picker. And now here we'll be having a picked file. We'll call await picker.pickImage. Source will be image source.gallery. If picked file is not equal to null, in that case we'll just set state and set our avatar file to the file that is picked. Now we have written the pick avatar function. Next we'll be having the function to save and upload our profile data. For this, here we are going to be having a future void underscore save profile function to the async function. Here we'll be using set state. First, we'll set the 7 to true, then we'll wrap it with try catch, and finally, first we'll call await context.read app provider.update profile to the same function that we have recently created. Here we are required to pass this. Here we have this option properties. If you want, we can pass. So here the full name will be inside full name controller.text.trim to remove any trailing spaces, and also username will be inside username controller.text, and avatar file will be the avatar file picked by the user, otherwise it will go as null. If a widget is mounted, in that case we'll show a snack bar profile updated successfully, and then we'll just close this page using navigator.pop. In case of any error, we'll first check if the widget is mounted. Then we can return the error using the snack bar, error saving profile, as well as the error. And finally, if our widget is mounted, we can set state is saving to false. Now we have written both the function. First one is pick avatar and second one is save profile. We need to link this function like when the user clicks here or here in change avatar, it should open the file picker. So here first inside the gesture detector, instead of this void function, will be having the pick avatar function called. That means that when the user clicks here, it will open the image source gallery and ask the user to pick image. And also for this, when user clicks on change avatar text button here also will be calling underscore pick avatar like this. When the user clicks here, it will open. Now we need to link the save profile function. It will not be a void function. If is saving is true, in that case it will be null. Else here we'll call the underscore save profile function. Now let us try to restart this. Now here when we visit the profile, here it's only loading the full name, as currently we only have the full name set. Now let's try to change our name and try to pick some profile. And let's save the profile. So now our profile is saved, and also this time you'll find that our data got immediately reflected inside our provider. And now here you can see that the name got changed, and also we are now having a profile picture. Now we can also show the profile picture here. We can do that very easily. Now we can just call the provider and display the profile picture. So inside our home.dart, here inside our app bar, here we have our circle avatar that is currently shown. Here we can have some logic. If provider.profile avatar URL is not equal to null, it means that we have some data that we can show. In that case, we'll just call cache network image provider and pass provider.profile avatar URL, else we'll return null. Doing this, just change the circle avatar with our profile picture uploaded by the user. But here, as you can see, here we also showing the icon for icons.person will not be showing that if we have an avatar URL. So here we'll be having the logic if provider.profile.avatar URL is equal to null. In that time, we can show the icons.person, else we should be showing as null like this. Now full profile of the user is visible, and if they visit the profile page, here it's also loading their data. In this way, we are done with the profile part. Now we need to work on the My Uploads part, where we are going to be listing all the images that are uploaded by the specific user. Now, here also, one more thing that we need to do inside our app provider, you will be calling the load profile image in the init state so that it loads the profile data after we are launching the application or calling the provider in the first step. Here, we'll be creating a future void underscore init async function. Here we'll listen to the state change and load our profile. So you will call underscore Supabase service dot on or state change listen state. If state dot session is not equal to null, that means we are logged in. In that case, we'll load our profile. Else, we'll just set underscore profile to null and notify our listeners. And then we'll load the initial data if the user is already logged in. So here we'll check if underscore supervised service dot current session is not equal to null. In that case, we'll just call await dot load profile. But only doing this thing is not going to work. We need to call this init function. Here we'll initialize it when we call our app provider. Here we'll initialize it, our app provider, and we'll call the underscore init function. That means when our app provider gets called, it will automatically call the init function. And init function will first check whether we are logged in or not, and then it will load the profile. And if it's not, it will just notify listeners. And if we already have a current session, in that case also we are loading the profile. And if we are loading the profile, that means we are loading and storing the data and notifying all our listeners. Now let us work on the My Uploads page where we are going to be listing all the images that are uploaded by the specific user. We have already written the function to load all the uploads that are done by the specific user. So we need to simply call this function and get the data. So it's very simple. Let's just work on the UI part now. Here in pages, here we are going to be creating a new file. It will be my underscore uploads page dot dart, create a stateful widget, my uploads page. And now we need to also link this with our home widget. We need to also link this with our home widget so that when we tap here and click here on my uploads, it should take us to this page. So inside our home.dart, in our app bar, we are already having a if-else logic. Here we only have three buttons. First we are having for logout and then we are having for profile. And now we can just have a else function, and in else we can use navigator.push, and this time we'll be calling my uploads page. So now if anyone clicks on my upload, they will get redirected to the my uploads page. Now we need to work on the UI part from here. First, in our init state, we need to call the function using our app provider to load all the images that are uploaded by the specific user. For this, we'll call widget instance dot add post frame callback and call context.read app provider dot load my uploads. We need to import the packages. So what will happen when we open this page? It will call the init state function and it will call the app provider dot load my uploads function, and it will store all the uploads inside my uploads, and then we can simply read the uploads by calling the get my uploads function. Here instead of placeholder, we are going to be starting with a scaffold. In app bar, we'll be having an app bar of title, text, my uploads, style will be text style, color will be colors.black, and background color will be colors.white, and icon theme will be icon theme data of colors.black, like this, and elevation will be 0. Now we'll start to write the body of the scaffold. Here in body, we are going to be using the consumer widget. Return type will be of app provider first. Here we need to pass the builder. Here we'll be getting the context, provider, and child. Here we'll check if provider.s loading my uploads. In that case, we'll just return a center circular progress indicator. If provider.myuploads error is not equal to null, that means that we are having some error. In that case, we'll just return a center text error. Error will be inside provider.myuploads error. If our provider.myuploads is empty, it means that we don't have any uploads. In that case, we can just return a center of text. You haven't uploaded any images yet. Now, if any of the if logic does not match, in our next statement, it will return the images. So here we are going to be returning list view builder, and with some basic padding of edging set 16. Here we'll be getting the item count from provider.myuploads.length, and item builder will be having the context and index. Here we'll get the image from provider.myuploads for that specific index. And now we are going to be working with our UI. For this, we'll be using the card widget. In margin, we'll be having edge insets only bottom 16 for margin in our bottom. In clip behavior, we'll be having clip.anti-alias. Shape will be rounded rectangle border. Border radius will be border radius dot circular 12. In child, we'll be having column. We'll start with the sized box of height 200 with double dot infinity. In child, we'll be displaying the specific image. So we'll be using cached network image, pass the image URL as the image.image URL. Fit will be boxfit.cover. Placeholder will be having the context and URL. We'll just pass the center child as circular progress indicator or stroke with 2. In arrow widget, we'll be using an icon widget. Here we'll pass icon of icons.error, and then we'll be having some buttons. For that, here we are having some padding of edge insets 12. In row widget, we'll have some children's. Here we'll be having an expanded widget. Expanded widget will have the child as column, cross axis element to cross axis element dot start. In children, will start if image.description is not equal to null and image.description is not empty. In that case, we have some description that we need to show. Here we'll just have the text of image.description with some basic text type, font weight W500, max lines to 1, overflow will be text overflow.ellipse. And after this, we'll check if images.tags is not empty. In that case, we'll again have some padding of top 4 with a child text. Here we'll call images.text.join by comma with a basic text style of colors.gray 600 and font size to 12, max lines to 1. Overflow will be text overflow.ellipse. After this, we'll be having a size box of height 7, and then we'll be having the text of images.likes to show the total number of likes counter, images.downloads to show the total number of downloads content. With some basic styling using text style, colors will be colors.gray 500, font size will be 12, and then we'll be having an icon button for some actions button where we are going to be editing or deleting the image. For this, here an icon will be having icons.edit, color will be colors.blue. For on press, we are not going to be having anything. Also, we'll have one more icon button. Icon will be icons.delete and color will be colors.red. For on press, for now, we are not going to be having anything. So now in this way, we have just built our basic UI. Currently, it's showing you haven't uploaded any images yet because we need to restart our application once, and then you will find when we go to my uploads, it is just showing all the uploads because we were calling the load my uploads in init state. So for that, we need to just rebuild this my homepage widget to load all the images. Now, as you can see, here we have our UI with some actions button, edit and delete. Now we need to work on the edit and delete feature. Rest, everything will work fine. Now here, what we want, when you click on this button, it should open alert dialogs and it should be populating our data so that we can edit and update it. For this, what we are going to be doing, we need to write some provider functions. If you go inside our Supabase service, we already have the function to update image as well as the function to delete image. Means both the functions are already written in Supabase service, but we need to import this inside our app provider so that we can call it through our app provider for better state management. Here, after our upload image function inside our app provider, we'll be writing another function to delete a specific image. For this, here we'll be creating a future for delete image function. Here we need to pass the string image ID, make this function as async, wrap it with try catch, call await Supabase service.delete image, pass the image ID. Then we need to also remove it from our provider and local data. For this, here we'll just loop over each of the underscore my uploads dot remove where image will be where this specific image id is equal to the image id. We'll get that specific image and remove it, and we need to also remove it from our home images. For that, here we'll call underscore images dot remove where image.id matches the image ID and remove that specific image. And then we need to notify our listeners so that changes reflect inside our state management and UI. In case of error, we'll just rethrow it. Now for the update function, here we'll be having the future void update image. Here we'll passing all the parameters like string image ID is required. Description and tags are optional. It will be an async function. Here we'll be also having try catch. First, we'll call await Supabase service.update image. Here we need to pass the image ID as required and others description and tags as optional. We have already written this function earlier. First, we'll pass the image ID, description will be description, tags will be the tags. Then we need to refresh our uploads. For this, we'll just call await load my uploads, and we need to also refresh our main feed. For that, we need to just call await load images and refresh to true so that it also updates the images inside our homepage. And after that, we'll just rethrow an error in case of any exceptions. Now we have written the functions like delete image and update image. We are going to be calling this when we press any of these two buttons. Here we need to start writing the logic. Here we'll be having a void underscore show edit dialog will be accepted. We'll be passing the image model image to this function. Here we'll be having a description controller, assigning it to text editing controller. By default, we'll be having the text as from image.description, the specific description that we are already having. And then in text controller, we'll be also having text within controller. You will be having the text as images.tags and it will be splitted. So we need to join it using the comma sign. And then we'll call the show dialog method, pass our context. In builder, we'll be having context and calling hello dialog, passing the title as edit image. And content will be having the column will be having main axis size to main axis size dot min. In children, first we'll be having a text field. Controller will be our description controller with some basic text decoration. Decoration will be input decoration, label text will be description, and max lines will be 2. And then we'll be having a size box of height 16 for some spacing. After this, we'll be having one more text field. This time it will be for our tags controller. So the controller will be tags controller, description, decoration will be input decoration, label text will be tags, comma separated, and in actions, we'll be having the text button. On press, here we'll be calling navigator.pop. Child will be having text of cancel. Then we'll be having an elevated button. On press, it will be an async function. Here we'll be calling description controller.text.trim. Here we'll be setting the new description as the description controller.text.trim, and tags will be tags controller.text.split by commas, and map over each of the tags, trim it, and check if it's not empty, and then we'll convert all of the tags to list. Now we can wrap it with try catch and call await context.read app provider.update image. Here we need to pass the image ID, optional description, and list of string optional tags. Now image will be inside image.id, description will be inside new description, and tags will be inside new tags. After this, we'll check if our widget is already mounted. In that case, we'll just use navigator.pop and close our alert dialog. In case of any error, we'll check if widget is mounted, show a snack bar that update failed, and then here we'll be having the child as text save, so that when we click on the save button, it save and update the data. So that when we call this save button, it save and update the data. Now we need to call this show edit dialog when we press this edit button. It's very simple. Inside our UI, here we are showing the edit option. Here we need to just call underscore show edit dialog like this and pass the image. Image will be inside our image, this one. So easily now when we click here, it opens an edit dialog. We can only edit the description and tags like this if we want. Now let us try to update any of this image. Let us try to edit the description. And save it. Now here it got update. Now we need to also match it with our database. Here inside our images, if we go to the description, we'll find that it has also updated the data in our description. So now we are done with the edit functionality. Now let us work on the delete functionality. For our delete method, here we are going to be creating an underscore show delete dialog. We need to pass our image model. Now here we need to show a dialog similar to our edit one. So we'll call the show dialog widget. Here we need to pass the context, builder, context. Here we'll be passing the alert dialog. In title, we'll be having the text of delete image, and in content, we'll just have a text. Are you sure you want to delete this image? This action cannot be undone. And then in actions, we'll be having a text button. For on press, we'll be just using navigator.pop context to close the alert dialog, and text will be cancel. And the second text button, on press, it will be an async function. Here we'll be wrapping with try catch, and we'll be calling await context.read app provider delete image and pass the delete image ID. And then we need to check if our widget is mounted, then just use navigator.pop context and close the UI. And in case of any error, check if widget is mounted. In that case, we'll just return a snack bar delete failed. And the child will be having a text of delete with a text color of colors.red. In this way, we have also designed our show delete dialog. Now we need to just call this when we press on this button. So here we'll be calling show delete dialog and pass the image. Now it's very simple. If we click here, it's asking if we click here delete, then it will be deleting the data. So for this to test, let's just upload a new image. Set some basic description. So now our image got uploaded. Now what we are going to be doing inside our my uploads, here let's try to delete this. And now our image got deleted and it will also disappear from our home UI. So in this way we have done with our my uploads page and logout and everything is done. Now one more things that we can do to make our application more better inside our app provider, after we are doing sign up, we can do one thing, we can immediately load the user profile so that our profile gets saved in the app provider immediately and we can display the user profile. And now to make our app more interesting, we can add a search feature so that the user can search for the image and get their specific image. Let's do that. Now, if we go by our Supabase service, we have already written the function to load search result in form of pagination from our database, but we need to add this inside our app provider through our app provider and load the images. Now, after all this state like image state, my upload state, profile state, we'll be having one more state. It will be our search state. Here we'll be having string underscore search query to empty string, list of image model underscore search result to empty list, and boolean is searching to false. Boolean has more search result to true. Underscore search page to 0. Now we need to write all the get methods. Here first we'll create a string get search query. It will return underscore search query. List of image model get search result. Here we'll send underscore search result. Boolean get is searching. Here we'll send underscore is searching. Boolean get has more search result. Here we'll send underscore has more search result. You will start to write the function to load our search query result. You will be having a future void search images. You will be getting the string query and boolean refresh to false. If we want hard refresh, then we need to send it true. Let's make it async. Here first we'll check if we are already searching. Once underscore is searching is true, then we don't need to do anything. We can just simply return the function. If refresh or query is not equal to the search query, in that case, we'll set the search page to 0, has search more result to true, and set our search result to empty list. And search query will be the query that we are searching for. If underscore has more search result, means we don't have any result, then we don't need to do anything. We can simply return and stop the function. If our query is empty, then also we don't need to do anything. We can stop the function. And else we'll start is searching to true and notify our listeners. Then we'll wrap it using try catch finally. First, we'll be getting the data. For that, we are creating a data variable calling await underscore Supabase service dot search images. We will pass the query. Page will be our underscore search page and limit will be our underscore page size. Next, we'll be creating a new result variable. The data that we are going to be getting, we are going to be mapping over each of the image result, converting it to an image model from map and converting it to list. Then we'll check if new results.length is less than the page size. In that case, we'll just set has more search result to false. That means that we don't have any more results to load. And if our search page is equal to 0, in that case, we'll just set our search result to our new result. Means we have load everything, we don't have any other things. Else, we'll call underscore search results dot add all. The new results that we are getting are going to be appended to our search results. And then we'll call search page plus plus to increment our page. In case of any error, we'll just save that error in form of string inside our underscore images error. And finally, we'll set is searching to false and notify all our listeners. Now we have written our search image function we are going to be using this, but we need to also write one more function for clearing our search. Here we'll be creating a void clear search function. It's very simple. We'll just set our search query to empty string, search result to empty list, search page to 0, as more search result to true, and notify our listeners. Now we'll be working with the UI part inside our home page so that users can search for any image by typing. Here, we'll open our home.dart home page. Inside our app bar, before in our actions, we'll be having one more button. It will be our search button. So it will be before this consumer, but before that, we need to write some more variables. Like here, we'll be having a text editing controller underscore search controller, assigning it to text editing controller, and boolean is search bar visible, setting it to false by default. And now here we'll work with the UI. It will be before this consumer. Here we'll be having an icon button, and icon will be icon. Here we are going to be checking if underscore is search bar visible is true. In that case, we'll show icon.close to close the search box. Else we'll show icons.search with some basic decoration like color will be colors.white. Then on press, we'll be using set state. If our search bar is visible, we'll set it to not search bar visible. Means if it's true, it will be set as false. If it's false, it will convert it to true. Means if this value is true, it will be converted to false, and if it's false, it will be converted to true. And in this way, we'll be also having our UI. If underscore is search bar visible, means it is not true. In that case, we'll just call search controller.clear and call context.read app provider.clear search to clear our search result. So now let's do it. Here we have the search button. Currently, if we click here, it just converted to cross, and when we click here, it again converts. Now here we need to also give the option to the user to search. Like when we click here, it should give us the text editing controller. It will be our search text controller. So when we click here, it should give us the text field so that we can input and type our search query, and it should load the search result. That thing we are going to be doing it inside the app bar title itself. So here inside the app bar, here before the text will be having the logic. If our search bar is visible, in that case controller will be underscore search controller and autofocus to true. Style will be text style colors.white. Decoration will be input decoration. In text will be search description or tags. Hint text will be search bar description or tag. In style text, style will be colors.white with values alpha 07, and then border will have input border.none. On submitted, when the value is submitted, in that case we'll be calling value.trim is not empty. In that case, we'll be calling context.read app provider, our search images function that we have recently written, as the value.trim and set refresh to true. In that case, what will happen when we click here? Here it's changing to the text field, and now when we close this, it's again changing to the app bar. But when we search here, it will load all the result, and we need to display those results. So for this, inside our consumer, we are using the same app provider, so we can get the search result very easily. In our body, here we are using the app provider. Here we can first here we'll be creating a variable is search active. It will be from provider the search query is not empty. If it's not empty, then search is active. In that case, we can do like if search is active. In that case, we can get the search result from provider.search results, and also similar to this is search active. In that case, we'll be getting provider.is searching, and here also is search active. Here we'll be calling. Here we'll be getting the data from provider dot has more search results like this. Now also, if we don't have any images inside our display images, then we need to first check if search is active. In that case, we'll be returning no search result found for provider.search query, else will return no images yet, be the first to upload. Now it's all done. Now we don't need to do any changes. Like we were reading the images from the display images. Now it will either contain the result from the search results or the results from our images provider, and rest everything will be seen. Now, since we have already set our display images is provider and has more loading in this kind of logic, if we try to restart, now here, if we try to search, let's say doctor and hit enter, it loads the picture of the doctor like this, and now we can close it. Let's say if we now our search functionality is also working, but one thing that is not working is our delete functionality. You might remember that recently we deleted this images. You might remember that recently we deleted this image, but it again appeared. So it is not because of something wrong inside our, this is not because we did something wrong inside our Flutter application, but it is not deleting the image because of the row level security policy we have specified. So here you might remember that we have given the function to insert to images and update to images, but we have not written the policy to delete images. So we need to write that. It will be very similar. Like here we'll create a policy users can delete own images. Here will on public.images for delete where auth.uid is equal to the owner ID. Only adding this is not going to work. Here we need to open our Supabase database. Inside SQL query editor, we need to paste this query, create this policy, and now if we try to refresh this, and now let's try to delete this again. Now our image got deleted. Let's verify with our database. Now here we are having 4 images. Now it's working fine, and this way we had successfully completed our image sharing application. Now let's try with some different account. Let's try to log out, and now again let's try to create a new account. Now here let's create our profile. And now here it's working. Let's also try to upload some images. So here everything is working fine. Let's try to create some more images and check the pagination logic. So in this way, we have just built our image sharing application where anyone can share images like this and we can view all of them. So in this way, we have just built our image sharing application. In this way, anyone can build and share their images and we can also like those images. This video is very long, but now I hope that you will be able to make similar kind of application by yourself, and by completing this full tutorial, you will I hope that you have already got the knowledge how you can build a same type of application with more functionality for you and share with other users. So that's all for this video and thanks for watching till the end. As always, the source code will be provided in the description. And if you want, you can also watch other Flutter tutorials. That's all for this video and thanks for watching.